well, 10 a.m. with Reeve Carlson as its chair. Do I have a mover?
Sure.
Any? Seconder?
Sure.
All in favor? Carried. And the resolution that regard meeting agenda for the February 10th, 2023 be approved as presented with the following amendments and additions. Remove the tile agreement, or tile drainage application from the impact tile draining until further notice. Do I have a mover?
I'd like to add about the gravel agreement thing. We've got a couple of questions. Or it's just our gravel agreement, so. Like to add that to the agenda again, please.
Oh, okay. Do I put that on?
Sure, yeah, you can just put gravel agreement. If it's already on the agenda though, do you need to add it?
Was it on there? Well, if it's on there, go ahead and add it
We've got
again.
the-
gravel
the
spreading.
gravel
Gravel
spreading.
Well,
spreading.
this is slightly different, but whatever, because we talk about it at the same time.
Well, I'll just have it.
Okay.
Thought about spreading gravel.
Okay. Do I have a mover?
Move it.
Dave?
All set.
All agreed? Carried.
Those will need signatures from you and Robert, and I'll be right back.
Okay. Resolution that the minutes of the regular meeting held Friday, February 10th, and the special meeting held on Thursday, February 23rd, 2023, be adopted in the curriculum. Do I have a mover? Robert School. Seconder?
Sure.
All in favor? Carried.
Only have 10 choice, yeah.
Water's end season just around the corner. Well, yeah.
Hey.
Solar check.
Yeah.
A resolution that council agrees to adopt the February 2023 financial statement. Do I have a mover?
Cool.
Seconder? All in favor?
Don't miss much. I said we usually don't miss much up on the
Okay. And the resolution council's acknowledged the list of accounts that presented for the month of February 2023 and the amounts as followed. General, $204,074.12. Water, $4,095.34. Do I have a mover?
All the
Second it.
Robert Still. All in favor? Carried. Did you want my initial here or my signature?
Nope, just on the line, under
Oh.
Reeve. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you. No problem, that's an easy fix.
Just throw it before nobody looks.
Yeah.
This isn't showing up for me.
Is it right?
I just stickers came apart, I don't know where it was.
That's okay, I'll find it for you if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Perfect, thank you. Okay, we have, we have a telephone meeting with the admin in at 10:15, so if you'd like to close the meeting now, you can, or if you'd like to review the bylaw and move on to the next thing for 5 minutes, it's up to you. Close the meeting now.
Here we have a resolution in accordance of section 152, or 3 of the Municipal Council of the Municipality of Rosedale now moves in camera to discuss legal and personal matters at the time being.
Okay, so would council like to pass a resolution about the union agreement, or would you like to invite our next delegates in?
We're like that.
We should might as well do the delegate and we're done.
Sure.
Yeah, resolution will pass. We're staying working through one.
You ready?
Gentlemen?
Morning.
Hello.
Have some.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah, right on that.
Welcome. So we had a request for delegation, and this is Mr. Lane McQuarrie. And Ben, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name?
Yeah, Philip.
Philip Chuck.
Yeah, you betcha.
From Manitoba Conservation. I did know that. They're here to speak about the municipal road allowance and the boundary road of 111 North. So you're welcome to take the floor.
Okay, I better put my spectacles on here so I can see what I'm doing here. So I'll say good morning, and I want to thank Rosedale Council for the opportunity to attend this meeting. My name is Lane McQuarrie, and I live in the RM of McCurry on a section of land that borders Riding Mountain National Park on the west side and Crown land in the RM of Rosedale along the south side. I'm a third generation farmer on this section and have lived there for most of my 69 years. Between my land and the Crown land is Road 111, which is solid bush running east to west along the entire south border of my section up to the park line. There is an old trail on the Crown land that gives access to the first half mile going west, which is not on the road allowance. For the next half a mile to the park, there was no access due to it being solid bush. At the park line, there is only a 400-yard distance between two large ravines, an area useful only for turning around and going back down the trail. That is, unless for some reason you want to gain access to the west side of my property. As indicated in the letter I wrote to Rosedale in January of this year, I would now like to clarify details surrounding the proposal made to clear this road allowance and what I believe to be its true intent. I first want to review the timeline of events leading up to the letter, and secondly, inform you about what has happened since. In October of 2022, I noticed that some new cutting had been done on the old trail going west for the first half a mile on the Crown land. In January of this year, I realized that a new 16-foot wide trail had been cut on the next half a mile on Crown land, road allowance, and onto my property, out to my field. I then phoned my two neighbors to the southeast of me, Earl and Jeff Burton, to inquire if they had seen anyone with a skid steer around. I left a message with Earl, who did not at the time answer and has never returned my call. I was able to reach Jeff, who stated he had no knowledge of a skid steer, having been in the area, and that he personally had not hired anyone with a skid steer for the past 2 years. Shortly thereafter, I learned that Aaron Rosedale, who has a skid steer and was fixing a tire at McCurry 5 and 50 last fall, said that at that time he was working at Jeff Burton's. Soon after I learned that Jeff Burton had approached McCurry councillor Kurt Jensen to elicit support from McCurry RM for a proposal to cut a trail on road allowance 111 North, and that he had the okay from the RM of Rosedale and Crown lands. The first part of the trail had in fact already been cut last fall without any knowledge or authorization from either of the RMs or Crown land. On January 19th is when I sent the letter to Rosedale RM raising concerns about the illegal cutting that had taken place. As a result, Rosedale RM sent a letter to Larry Kohinski, on whose behalf the proposal had been made to stop any cutting. I also contacted Manitoba Conservation and the RCMP due to Crown land and damage to my property. At the end of January, a conservation officer came to take pictures of the trails that had been cut through Crown land, road allowance, and my property. At his suggestion, we put up some cameras on the trail that had been cut on our property. Well, the cameras were taken down, the SD cards were stolen. So recently a petition was posted in the Kelwood Barn by a group identified as the Rosedale Trailblazers to improve the trail on Road 111 for recreation purposes. And I'll give you all a copy of the petition. Actually, no one locally has heard of the so-called Rosedale Trailblazers before, or knows who any of the members are. The few people who signed the petition, I think, were misled to its real intention, that being to gain access to the west side of my property for elk hunting. I believe that the petition has since been taken down, which I suspect is because I informed one of the co-owners of the barn as to its true intent. I guess in closing, I feel that council has been intentionally misled by one of their fellow councilors as to further the interests of family and friends. And this has been done at the expense of other stakeholders, including both the RMs, Crown Lands, and myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Are we getting a copy of that?
Sure, a copy of this letter, the
I
statement?
was gonna give you a copy, but Manitoba Conservation, I wrote some things in there that with the ongoing investigation, that
Okay.
they preferred me not to give that
No,
Okay.
that's
to
fine.
you. I could understand that.
Yeah, so appreciate you guys having me here today. I'm Ben Philipchuk, I'm the sergeant for Conservation Officer Service on Municipality here. So I'm just here to provide more so clarification just as far as, you know, obviously this proposed development of the road allowance. I know I sent you, addressed a letter to the RM on January 24th, just kind of outlining some, just some of the concerns as far as development of new road allowance. And obviously the RM under the Municipal Act has the right to develop road allowance. We just wanted to clarify a few things, just as far as forestry goes. So just explaining that any sort of new development and clearing road allowances would require a commercial timber permit for any dues associated with that. And then just a concern with Crown land being adjacent to it. So obviously the given area in question, it's very difficult to distinguish property lines, boundaries and such. So so if development was to occur, you know, just to basically be clear that there is Crown land adjacent, likely a survey would be appropriate to go forward with that. So, but yeah, so just reiterating that, but more so just wanted to get on the same page, meet you folks, and if you had any questions pertaining to that. Yeah, as Lane has identified, there was some clearing that did take place on Crown land, so we are investigating that currently. So, so that's something that we're following up on, but yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. So, yeah, as far as civil stuff, I mean, obviously, and you know, going on to private property, kind of my responsibility stop at that point. But yeah, just wanted to provide any sort of clarity for you folks going forward with this. So
what happens like with them cutting on Crown land, is that?
so any sort
charge
of
for that or?
yeah, yes, there is. Yeah, so any sort of damage to Crown lands without essentially any sort of work to take place on Crown lands needs to be authorized under a Crown land work permit. So yeah, nothing has been issued on that section of Crown land to date. So so yeah, essentially any sort of removal of you know, timber, clearing of brush, essentially taking heavy machinery onto Crown land for any purpose really needs to be authorized, right? So yeah, there is penalties associated to it, as well as reclamation work that can be associated as well.
Yeah.
And that's something you're working on right now?
There is an investigation currently with some stuff that's occurring up there, yeah.
And your coverage area goes beyond Rosedale and Prairie Municipality?
As far as our jurisdiction?
Yeah.
So our jurisdiction as far as Neepawa district goes up to McCreary.
Okay.
So yeah, that's our northern boundary.
So any improper work on Crown land would be within your jurisdiction?
So within, well, the Conservation Officer Service as a whole enforces the Crown Lands Act, so yeah, anywhere within the province. I'm just speaking to my district boundaries.
No, that's your district boundary is McCurry.
Yeah, so essentially like highway, I guess that's 50, that goes right across to the lake, so
Okay.
yeah, absolutely, so.
And that goes back how long? You like years back? Any damage done, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago would be?
So I just transferred back down here back in October, so
Okay.
the last 6 years I wasn't here, so I don't
No,
really
no,
have-
sure, but it's
yeah.
on your office to handle those?
Yeah, it would be like primary responsibility there, yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Good to know.
I just wanna make sure I understood, like, trail cutting happened on your side, like, it wasn't road allowance, it was in your land?
In my land, right out to my field.
And that was, is that something that you're able to deal with like, are you dealing with RCMP on that one? Like, there's
Well,
stolen
I've
cameras.
contacted them, but I'm sort of waiting for Manitoba Conservation, see what charges or if any's late, and then I'll pursue with the RCMP.
Okay. And I understood, like, your trail cameras, this SD cards got taken out.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Do you know?
Well, it was after you guys came the first time, so it would be,
In January.
February, yeah, the end of January. See, after the first trail was cut, cutting was done, and conservation showed up, took pictures. Actually, then we went away on a holiday, we came back on the 14th. And the 12th, there'd been a skid steer had came up there again and cut further trails on Crown land and on my private property again. It's like invasion of,
Yeah.
you know, I guess I'd look at you guys and say, if I show up with a skid steer and start cutting on your place, what are you gonna say?
Exactly.
Not gonna be very happy. Yeah, and I'm not happy. I'm really unhappy. Tell you the truth. I mean, what right do people think they can go and just cut trails? I guess, you know, they're probably thinking that the consequences won't be that great anyway, so to hell with it, we'll just do it.
And has this happened before, or like,
No.
this is unusual, right? Like,
This is unbelievable.
okay.
Yeah. You know, and to make a proposal that, oh, you know, for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing, like how ridiculous is this? You show up with a skid steer and munch through a 16-foot wide trail across Crown land and onto my property, right out to my field.
Right?
It's invasion.
Well,
I'd like to address one more thing.
okay, sure.
I'm assuming that I'm the counselor you referred to in Rosedale that didn't return your call?
Well,
I have your message on my
Yeah.
phone still, and your message says roughly that you would call me back, so I don't respond to those calls. Just so you know, so I mean, if you want me to call you, I'll call you anytime, you can stop at my house, you know where I live, so. I take offense to that comment.
okay.
So with that, I guess we discussed it. We have a letter from the RM of McCurry.
Good.
It does state, we've looked up policy with the provincial regulations for between boundary roads and that. If both municipalities don't agree to do anything on that road, then it's,
Yeah.
stays what it is. So McCurry has already expressed their concerns that they're not going to want anything done. So as far as I'm concerned, and I don't speak for all of council, but I feel that we don't have nothing more to discuss on this.
Okay.
That nothing should be done there because both municipalities
Yeah.
don't agree on it, so.
It's a sad thing that it's already been done. You know,
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
I
thing.
know, we can't get your trees back, but.
No, well, maybe we can.
Well, yeah.
We can find out who did it.
It'd be nice to see somebody there with a shovel and a tree in their hand. Years ago, we planted trees for Manitoba Conservation, West Riding Mountain. Maybe what should happen.
Yeah.
People would be more accountable to their actions.
Have you done the same presentation to McCurry as well?
No, because McCurry turned it down right away. They've never have gave permission. So, you know, they voted on it and said no. It's like closing the door after the pig ran out,
Yeah.
you know? But anyway, we will deal with it further. I appreciate you guys listening. I only came here, I know you can't do anything about it, just to let you know what has taken place.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm sure the council appreciates it.
yeah, okay?
Yeah, I certainly appreciate it, thanks.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Alrighty. Next.
What's up? That was, like, that's not easy doing something like that.
No.
Coming in, making that presentation against like neighbors and long-term stuff, so. That couldn't have been, I'm glad he came in. I'm
So
just,
would sorry to interrupt, go ahead.
you go ahead.
Would council like to pass a
Some of the
resolution on
may not be
this to clarify in the minutes that
Yeah.
what your decision is or what you've concluded or?
It's pretty much settled as far, I don't know what you guys think, but I don't think there's no sense even discussing it anymore. It is provincial law, so.
But I mean, with regards to, you passed resolution to give Larry Kohinski permission,
So
and
we
that's in
have
the
to-
minutes, so I think you should address that in another resolution to rectify the situation if that's what you've chosen to do.
Yeah, I would say so.
How would you like to word it though, is my question is, whereas the Arm of Rosedale has discussed the municipal road allowance boundary, Road 111 North,
Yeah.
development, therefore be it resolved that council agrees that no further development will be made.
Yeah,
You wanna mention the Manitoba part of that?
yeah, you wanna mention a provincial Manitoba.
Whatever that was, you mentioned earlier on that
Yeah.
statement.
Oh, you're
Well,
gonna read that right in.
Walk away from it and we go home.
Exactly.
Yeah. Leave it alone. You let this go. You look like they're doing their thing, so whatever their thing is.
Yeah.
I'm on the board with one of the guys from Prairie, council from Prairie. Just go ahead and phone it. Not a lot to say.
I think that just highlights the importance of policy and procedures. It just seems to me like we got involved in something that we shouldn't have got involved with. And
Well, we really didn't do anything, other than we passed one resolution, but we didn't give any go-aheads. So we really didn't do anything.
No,
We just, we started into it and then we held back, so I don't think council that's any way, shape, or form that fault. Like the old saying, there's always three sides. Their side,
Good
somebody
luck.
else's side, and then there's yours. There's always three sides, so we'll take that into consideration. And yeah, and that's, yeah,
Doesn't matter what you think.
we don't need to, yeah, we're done and done.
Council agrees that no further development of Boundary Road
I don't know.
111
I don't know.
West
Yeah.
Highway number
Really?
5 to Riding Mountain National Park. No further development.
Okay.
Start the age.
What have you done on So you're out of the wire?
Right, Mountain National Park,
Shifting that around for you.
accordance
Uh,
to the provincial.
Oh, yeah, well,
You were coming to gym this, you wanted to.
yeah, you could have a little nap there, that's right, Chris.
Provincial regulations.
Regulations set in place.
I only learned that the day, Robert, so that's not that impressive, actually, when you're up and just jump or two ahead.
Between the two RMs, do you put that in?
I'll put that, include the municipal act.
I'm so used to touch.
Well, I think that's just
Well,
what do. The
No, I'm
street
just saying,
touches-
like,
the
I'm
street
so
touches
used to
do that.
touching, you know.
The most.
This like,
Yeah.
well, I couldn't do the computer thing, I haven't used the computer in so long.
Perfect. Okay, we have a resolution. Council agrees that no further development of Boundary Road 11 North, west of PTH number 5 to the Rye Mountain National Park, in accordance with the provincial regulations and the Municipal Act. Do I have a mover? Ernie. Second.
Sure.
All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next,
Do you want to
and
agree to
Nequa.
sign the union agreement?
Oh, right,
Is that okay?
this is the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a resolution here. Council agrees to authorize the REIT and the CO to sign the revision collective agreement between the RM of Rosedale, Public Works employees, and the International Union of Operating Engineers. Do I have a mover? Oh, Earl. Seconder? Robert Scott. All in favor? Carried.
We'll get a copy of that document, Gary, when it's all done.
The operating engineer's document?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, he'll draft up the final
Yes.
and then send it to us.
Okay.
So this is with reference to the fire bylaw. Would you like to discuss that?
Agreement with the town?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Is there any dollar figures to go with that yet, or nothing? 'Cause
At
There's
the
a
last
ballpark,
page,
isn't
the last page of the document,
Yeah.
there's dollar figures that have been put through.
It was,
I went through it, but I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a formula. That's
Yeah,
what it
formula,
is.
there's no dollar figures, but there's a formula.
Right, so I can tell you safely that in 2023, the amount for annual fire service fees, based on the actual statistics and the expenses expensed from 2013 to 2022, is $9,876.40.
That's the number that we agreed to before.
That's right, yeah, exactly. Nothing has changed, it's just all in writing now, yeah.
Okay, that's just policy. Yeah, well, I like it a lot, actually.
So further to that, I have a draft bylaw for council as well. I can safely say that it's it mirrors the town of Neepawa's first page of the bylaw. Their bylaw number is 3222-23. Ours will be bylaw number 1-2023, and the wording is identical. It references the Municipal Act, the clauses that were referenced in the town of Neepawa's bylaw, as well as the fact that council deems it to be in the best interest of the rural municipality of Rosedale to enter into a fire protection service agreement with the town of Neepawa for the purpose of enhancing their fire protection services as necessary. So the only difference is that this bylaw is Rosedale's bylaw, so it references that Rosedale is formulating an agreement with the town, whereas the town's bylaw references that the town is formulating an agreement with Rosedale. That's the only difference, so. Are there any questions or?
This is adding to a previous bylaw, is that correct, or?
I'm sorry?
Is this a new bylaw, or?
This is brand new, yeah.
the agreement
For,
last year.
yes, that's right. Rosedale, the previous Rosedale council and the previous town of Neepawa council had met back in
The end of the
October.
year last year, like,
Yeah.
years.
Well, I guess it was before election, right?
Yes, just
Because it was the
before.
previous council?
Yes.
So I guess it was before October. And both councils discussed the number of call-outs that the town receives on behalf of Rosedale and the assistance that they've provided over the years. And basically in the last 10 years, they've expensed, Anipo's value has expensed about $98,763. So they brought that to the table for Rosedale Council to consider. So therefore, this is a rolling average that they'll do from year to year based on previous year's expenses. That's what they'll ask Rosedale to commit to year after year, moving forward.
So we'll pay one fee versus having them pay as a per call.
And from a fire chief standpoint, is there any concerns or?
No, actually, because it's actually, could technically be cheaper in the end for us, because if, say you had a multiple call outs, they still get the same amount of money versus, so back to being budgetable. It's, so yeah, no, it's good. It's good, and they're big out, they got lots of equipment we don't have sometimes.
If they have more fires, they take the hit. If they have less fires,
Yeah, no, that's right, it's kind of, and over the 10-year thing that Karen mentioned is kind of the balance, so this is a, you know, they're not gouging or doing anything crazy, it's all in the level.
yeah, they've been actually pretty good to us.
No, for sure, yeah.
So, we're all agreeing to this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, the resolution, we the council agree to authorize the REIT and the CAO to sign the Schedule A to the bylaw 3222-23, beginning the town of Niqua and the RM of Rosedale Fire Agreement. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it, I think I just moved the last one.
Do I have a second there?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Carried.
And then I have first and second reading for the bylaw, which is the, I just explained to council that this bylaw is identical to the town of Niqua, only this is for the RM of Rosedale to enter into agreement with the town of Niqua instead of vice versa.
All right.
Yeah. So if everybody's okay with it, you can give it first reading and second reading today.
Okay.
So, have a resolution, first reading bylaw 1-2023, being a bylaw to establish a fire protection service agreement between the RM of Municipality of Rosedale and the town of Niqua. Now be read the first time. Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Seconder?
You don't have to do them all.
No, I can't do them all.
All in favor? Carried. This is the second reading?
Yeah.
Resolution, the bylaw 1/2023 be read second time. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Dave Tyler. Seconder?
Sure.
Passenger. Everybody in favor? Carried.
And I apologize for doing this, but I have a question.
I hate it when you apologize first.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, not sorry.
Section 2.3, I just want to make sure I understand that, because I just voted, but I realized I have a question here. This agreement can only be terminated upon the mutual agreement of both parties,
Right.
with consideration given to a notice period. So you have to, if you want to cancel this agreement in January of 2024, it's all, well, you have to give a 12-month period, a one
Right.
calendar year.
One calendar year.
One calendar year. So the other party has to agree to that.
Right. In order for it to be,
So it's going to renew annually unless both parties agree not to. But if we decide we don't like it anymore, NEPA can say, too bad, you're stuck with it. Am I understanding that correctly?
to a certain extent, if Rosedale decides to negotiate something different, then what they're saying is they basically want a notice
A
well
year
in advance.
advance, yeah.
Yeah,
In which I don't think we would be, you know, this is something that we truly need. We need the backup for people at the fire department, so I don't see it as a big issue of anything that's would.
No, because the rates are set too. So
Yeah.
If they don't, if they jump it up, triple it, whatever the case may be, then you would want to have a renegotiation.
Right.
Or decided to do that, yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah. Okay,
all right.
do you want to do the Kabaki thing?
No, we're gonna move on to the AMM Spring Convention.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we'll get some of these out of the way.
No, that's fine, I just wondered, because Ron's gotta leave, so whatever, I have to leave the room too also. Okay, I have a resolution that the Region CEO authorized to attend the 2022 Mayor Reeves CAO meeting April 3rd, 2023. And furthermore, be it resolved that council and the CAO be authorized to attend the 2023 AMM Spring Convention held April the 4th and 5th, 2023, and that all allowable expenses be paid. Do I have a mover? Aaron. Seconder?
I'll second.
Okay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
All in favor? Carrie.
Sorry.
That's all right, you're cutting me off.
So excited.
Where is this, Karen?
It's in Winnipeg, that's exactly what I was just gonna
Okay, no,
say.
that's what I was.
Just so everyone knows, the document that was included on the agenda, it shows that it is in Winnipeg. If anyone's interested in attending, please let me know as soon as possible, because registration period is open. Ernie, anybody else?
Yeah, I'll have to make sure I got a true away first, so I better check.
Jeff?
I'll get back to you.
Okay, Earl, you'll get back to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, because I better make sure I get something in place for my hearings.
So the third one, the Region CAO, that's just the third?
Right,
You're
so,
paired.
exactly, so the first day of the meetings is usually just the Reeves and CAO, Mayor's, Reeves and CAO meeting. And that'll be for you and I to attend. No other council members are required to
Oh,
attend.
okay.
Unless you're not able to make it, then you can ask Robert as a deputy Reeve to attend in your
Yeah,
place.
no, I think I'm still good.
yeah.
April 3rd.
And then everyone else comes just for the other 2 days.
Right, okay, perfect.
So I can book hotel rooms. I have to tell you though, I haven't seen anything at the Delta yet. They haven't opened a block of rooms there. So we may be staying at the Radisson if that's the case.
That's
This
fine.
is- But I have to determine the location and everything, just to make sure that we know exactly where it is.
Okay,
Okay, I'll keep you informed.
all right,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Okay, and then the next one is the AMM abuse policy. Does anyone have any interest to go? I believe it's a Zoom meeting, so it's not actually, it says on the resolution, all allowable expenses be paid, but I don't think there's any expense to it. It's
Just
just
not
if
for
anyone's
use.
available to attend on March 13th, if anyone's interested.
So if anybody's interested in this AMM Zoom conference on March 13, 2020, at 11 a.m. to 12 a.m.
That's actually Monday
Or
morning.
Monday morning.
So if anyone's interested, please let me know now and we can get you
Is that
registered.
for a car?
That's
Sorry.
Pay attention.
you do guideline policy.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
You're interested? Okay.
Well, that's an online one I read.
I can't, I gotta be in that day already, so.
So this is their insurance, Western Financial. They're doing an information seminar on the abuse policy that they're recommending. Is council on board with me drafting a policy for the next meeting that encompasses this recommendation? All right, I will do that. Okay. So if you're interested, like I said, there's a resolution, but it looks like there's really no cost to it, but just to make sure,
Yeah.
we'll pass
Okay, we have
resolution.
a resolution, council and the CAO are authorized to attend the AMM Abuse Policy Guidance meeting virtually on March 13th, 2023, and that all allowable expenses be paid. Do I have a mover? Seconder?
Go ahead.
I was waiting for Jeff. but-
Oh, I see that, I know. He's on his phone, I hope he's not playing games, that's,
I'm always playing games.
yeah. All in favor?
Hey, Gary, that on Monday, is that, do you send an email for
You click on it, just pre-register.
Yeah.
Click on it,
Yep.
register, or?
Yep, for sure. Do you want me to send it your way too?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm home Monday, so. I can-
Sure.
I don't have nothing.
I think it's just a few hours actually, 11 to,
It's 11 till noon or something?
yeah, 11 till noon.
Yeah,
It's an hour. Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm home, so.
okay, for sure. I will send you that. Okay, this is the request for scholarship that council usually grants every year. Normally it's a $500 scholarship, and there are some requirements for the student to be attending post-secondary education, and they also have to be a Rosedale resident to actually be awarded
Be
the
awarded
scholarship.
this,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I guess, what do you think? Should we discuss this before I pass this resolution? Do you want to stay at the same amount?
I would suggest.
$500?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Any resolution, we the council agree the Neepa area collegiate institution should get $500 to provide the Rosedale Central School scholarship, to a graduate student in the 2023. Do I have a mover? Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a letter from Clan William Erickson. And they're requesting a letter of support, which I've got a resolution for if council chooses to also provide a grant. Do you guys have any interest in providing either or both, or?
So, that's the letter that we got from Clan William Erickson Airport.
That's for the airport, Erickson.
Mhm. I mean, it's kind of a good thing that stars can land there to refuel, but
Probably a good thing for them out there, but
All those lakes.
it's, yeah, well, it's up there, really like everything.
I definitely think we should send a letter of support.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not too sure if we should be putting any money.
money into it, no.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
So we agree we'll just send a letter of support for now?
That's what I would suggest.
Okay. So we have a motion, we, council agreed to provide a written letter of support to the municipal of Clan William Erickson regarding the Erickson Airport reconstruction project in 2023. Do I have a mover?
I don't think it's mine.
Seconder, I think.
Sure, sure.
No, okay.
No, it isn't. It is not. I got 2 turns of the road.
All in favor? Carried.
So order, but it should be. No, no, see, it's just easy because Carl's writing it down and I just put my hand up so he sees my hand all the time.
Okay,
Okay. Now I have to ask.
now you have to ask me. Okay, I will excuse myself from the meeting. Call me when you need me back.
Is he going for the pizza or what?
Basically just redoing the asphalt.
Yeah. I have a grant.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's ready, by the way, I'm not sure.
Right across from Town Erickson,
Yeah, okay.
to the east.
Side highway, okay. They must have built that up, eh?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where they got there from.
Yeah, I wonder if
That's
that's.
true. Wow.
quite a big ramp there.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-80s.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it says here, the airport was paid back in the
Okay.
80s.
Okay.
We're slow readers here, Gary, just give us some time.
So readers. And it's like WCA
Thank you.
uses that airport. I don't know if there's a lot. It's a really busy airport. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions about the subdivision information that was provided to council? No concerns? I can tell you,
I think it's pretty straightforward.
The planning district currently has no objection or concerns. The only concerns, of course, that is written in the documentation is just simply the variation order and conditional use, registered on title as a development agreement. Same standard procedures as has been done in the past with many others. So if you're okay with that, it's all in the resolution there.
Anybody okay with it?
Yeah.
One thing that I have, again, a quick question. You'll
No.
know. Mendo-Odana is going through a bit of a thing right now with, they approved a subdivision request. And then subsequent to that, there was a conditional use request. And some of the people that are complaining about the conditional use were saying that there was, maybe the subdivision shouldn't have been granted so easily when there wasn't like a full business plan and whatnot in place.
Okay.
So because I don't understand the process here as well. So when you do a subdivision, does it matter what it's for? Or is it or you're always taking it on like a case-by-case basis?
Right, case by case.
Case
Yeah.
by case, yeah.
And do you care what the subdivided parcel is used for when you're doing this step of it?
Yeah, it depends on what's going on there, especially if somebody's thinking of a feedlot, that would raise, your thoughts of what's going on because of the land use and manure and all that stuff. This one here has been to planning, and this is a pretty in my eyes, a very straightforward.
Okay.
It is.
And
It's
because
a whole
it's,
sectioned off
Right.
from the rest of this. And the only thing is another access, and you won't get another access, Department of Highways made note of that, off 265, because there's the creek there. But they have ample access on each end, because they own the rest of they own 3/4 there, I believe. Now, the south half and the northwest quarter, no. The south half,
Just
the
south.
northeast quarter?
Just so,
Yeah, just the south half. Right.
I think so.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
There
Milton's
used to
still
be an
got that.
80-acre split
Was
on
there?
this, on the east end, when Corey built the house there,
Okay.
and then that's been consolidated into the, and then resold to somebody else, so. I think this is a good fit for Rosedale, put somebody out in the country, keeps people living in the country, and use of that property.
and the Deep One Area Planning District, like we support them, we're counting on them to do some due diligence and whatnot, right? Like that's kind of the idea. is
Yeah,
we're-
yeah, they check them out, and like if
Jeff's
you
pretty
decide.
good when it comes to checking stuff out.
Yeah.
He gives you his concerns, like, he does not shy on it.
Right, and they would turn it down, it could easily be turned down for various reasons, but this one, I think, jumped through all the hoops and.
Because they do canvass the neighboring folks of any distance-wise away from the subdivision to make sure they don't have any concerns
Okay.
either. So it's done, by the neighbors.
Surrounding landowners will all get notification from planning about the subdivision.
And if they have an objection, are they objecting to us here or to Jeff Braun at the planning district?
There's a public hearing for the conditional use and the variation order, which will come next, usually at the following council meeting. Sometimes it's postponed or delayed, but it has to come to council. And that's what we had at the last meeting, was a
That's
public
what-
hearing.
okay.
That's when people come in, voice their concerns. So rightfully so, I understand what you're saying about the neighboring municipality, Minto-Odana, but with council's perspective, there's no problem with this in the foreseeable future with this subdivision as it stands right now. But we could run into snags with the public hearing and conditional use variation order. Depending on the circumstances, everyone is different. That's why they're dealt with on a case-by-case basis. Yep.
Thank you.
And in our documents, it tells you all the people that were on board with it.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
Climate
highways.
change, everything's
Yeah.
right in our documentation here, so.
the utility companies.
All good.
Nobody has any concerns, so. I guess we can move ahead, whereas the proposed subdivision request by Chris Kovacki on the southwest quarter of 1916-15 was presented to council on Friday, March the 10th. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the RM of Rosedale has reviewed and approved the subdivision proposed by Chris Kovacki on the southwest quarter 1916-15 west, providing that a conditional use order be granted allowing a non-farm single dwelling unit within the AG agricultural general zone. Number 2, a variation order be granted to increase the parcel size to 15.1 acres. 3, a variation order be granted to reduce the rear yard setback from a minimum required 50 feet between the shop located on the northwest corner of the northwest corner to the proposed 23 feet, and a development agreement is signed with the rural municipality of Rosedale.
Registered.
Can you move that, please?
That-
Ron?
Yeah. I was just gonna say that 23 to 50 feet, wonder what that, just squared off? What was that all about?
It must
Because I looked at the map, it looks.
Yeah, it looks
I don't
like it's running on the,
Yeah, must be just the map, just keep it square for.
Keep it flat.
Yeah.
Get rid of the
I'll
flag.
second it, Robert.
It's only a few feet.
Square with the road, I guess.
Yeah, it must be.
all in favor? Thank you. It passed. Carried.
There's your building from here.
I'll put it on here, I guess you're supposed to,
Okay, good to go.
That's not Andrew Blood, so.
Okay, so we only have a few minutes left, but we can appoint the weed inspector. And we can probably do the auditor resolution as well.
when you're talking about the weed inspector, you're talking about that RM, which RM, Louise? Is that the one that, where we got the weed inspector from?
RM, it's a Midwest, Hamiota.
Anyway.
Yeah. So we have to appoint a weed inspector for Rosedale. He's the one that's gonna go out and, he's gonna go out and basically, just make sure that all of our concerns are addressed by, the Midwest Weed District. Again, Midwest Weed District has the certification, all the chemicals, all the applications, all that kind of stuff. They make sure they're not applying any spray near wells, any drinking water, mailboxes, anything like that where it would affect or harm anyone, any of our residents. Otherwise, it's all on municipal property and they go out and they get the job done in one day. Yeah.
So our Public Works foreman, we have a resolution of Public Works foreman Darrell Link be approved as municipal weed inspector for the RM of Rosedale.
I understand that, but what's Daryl know about weeds?
Well,
Well, I'm more than happy to be your weed inspector, but it just doesn't look right.
Okay, if it's just a technical thing, yeah,
Well,
okay.
basically, he's just gonna go along with the person,
That's
Pretty
right,
much, I
that's
think.
right.
and
Yeah,
this be the eyes for the RM, is that correct?
yeah, exactly.
If you want to take the course on the weeds, well, then that's one step up.
Honestly, by hiring the Midwest Weed District, we don't need anybody to take any
That's the
courses.
best thing.
Yeah.
That's the
No
best.
license, no.
He's already educated.
Yeah, just use
so he's more or less just,
the eyes.
Darrell's driving around, yeah, with him to make sure everything's going
Sort of
well.
short spots, yeah.
Yep. Do I have a seconder? Or a mover, sorry.
I'll move her.
Seconder. Sure. All in favor? Carried. Oops, excuse me. motion, we, the council, agree to appoint Reed and Miller Chartered Professional Accountants, Inc. as auditor for 2023. Mover?
I'll move it.
Second. All agreed? Carries. Sorry.
How do we end up using those people? Is it a financial situation, you get a bid to do this job, or? how does it
We
work?
haven't tendered it in years. They know our process. We do sign documentation at the beginning of every year to make sure that all of our checks and balances are in process, in place, such as we have, all of our checks require 2 signatures, one from either the reeve and the deputy reeve or the CAO or the assistant CAO. In doing so, all of our payables are checked off and initialed by 2 members of the finance committee, out of the 3 of you that sign off on them. And then Reed and Miller come out. Basically, they've been doing our audit since I started here in 2015. They're well aware of our financials and our processes, so it's very helpful in that respect because they have the experience and the knowledge. Every municipality does things differently, but I have a lot of respect and trust for Reed and Miller to get the job done. They do a lot of other municipalities as well, and I find them very helpful. They respond in a very timely manner when I have questions about our finances and our financial statements, and they're very, very knowledgeable. Yeah, absolutely.
So what does that cost us?
Approximately $10,000 a year. Yeah, it's a contract position, so if council ever wished, we could, we could tender it out, we could get other auditors in place. There's a few other companies that are very involved with municipal accounting, but since PSAB came in, which was in 2015, that has a lot to do with our asset management and accounting for, taking into account depreciation and all that stuff of our assets. Again, Reed and Miller have been there from the start, so I have a lot of faith in their company.
There's quite a few different government people who use that.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So, but we're not required to tender this process? Because
Yes,
we have-
absolutely. Well,
Because if we haven't tendered it in 10 years, are we making a mistake?
no, we're not required to tender it, we're required to pass a resolution to appoint them. Yeah, so you can appoint others if you so choose, but my personal opinion is, like I said, they're easy to work with, they're knowledgeable about our process, they know the history and what our municipality, how we do things. Yeah, I highly value their.
A lot of organizations use them.
Mhm. Yeah. Sometimes I can't get an answer from other CAOs in the area because they don't have the experience or the circumstances that we do, and I can reach out to Reed and Miller, and within a day or two I can have an answer as to what another municipality has done from across the province. Do you know what I mean? Like, because they have that knowledge, I find they're very, very helpful. Yeah. Okay, so do you guys want to break for lunch, or what are you thinking? Or
Sure.
Let's break for lunch and then we'll be all a little more docile after lunch for this presentation.
you won't be so hangry?
Hey, you got me.
Does everybody want to move upstairs for lunch, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, we keep it sticky off our computer screen.
I know you had mentioned working through lunch, so I don't know how that's going to work.
Just
Like,
make it a half-hour lunch break then?
Yeah, that's just,
Sure.
let's go, that's our time down,
Okay.
we'll just stay here.
okay, so because you guys returned back from lunch early, we can skip through a few more things if that's okay.
Yeah.
Dave, if you'd like to speak about Valley Life Housing.
Okay. Back in February 23rd, we had a meeting and the board of directors was appointed or elected, which all went well. They are going ahead and they've actually done a press release and sent out a survey package as well. Carrie has printed some copies off here at the office. I spoke briefly with Carrie the other day, and I think it's also going to be on our website too, so if people's going through the website, that's on the RN website. Doesn't cost anything to do this thing, so why not put the information out there to the people, right? So at this, after the appointment of the directors and everything, it came about funding. And there was a lot of talk one way or the other way what's really been proposed is each RM, there's 5 RMs, or municipality, 4 municipalities in the town of Minnedosa involved. They left it a little bit wide open for suggested funding, and what the suggestion was, just a normal fee of $5,000 is put out there. And once this project gets up and going and then funding becomes available, if the RM wishes, that money can be recouped back to the RM. So then, all we're doing is, what we want to call it bankrolling now, because there's advertising fees, lawyer fees, and everything else that need to be paid from some funding. Now, the figure of 5,000 was put out there, we can go a little more, a little less, and we can tailor our own funding if we wish to proceed with this, put it that way. So, like I said, some RMs might put more, some might put less. Some may put it in for now to get the funding, get the project going, and once the project gets going, they may, each RM could do what they want, they could ask it back, or they could say, call it a donation later on. So we can tailor this the way you guys see fit, I guess is the best way to put it. So the survey put out, everything else, so that's out there. And nothing more will be done until we get, or nothing more will be done until we get that information back, as far as for Valley Life Housing Corporation. So, ball's rolling, the board is like, Mr. Grant Butler is doing a fantastic job as chairperson type of thing, and they're all on it, so I think it'll be a great facility for, the town of Minnedosa going forward, so. Request funding, you guys figured out, come up with a number, I'm gonna kinda stay out of that, being on the board a little bit, wearing too many hats all at once. So, that's the information, if you got a question, I'll try to answer it the best I can. And it's gonna take some time to get this going, to be honest, but it's just, like I say, it's just seed, they call it seed money, basically, eh?
Yeah.
So, and I think it's, they gotta get funding from someplace, you can't ask the town of Minnedosa just to foot the whole bill, and, if they're gonna do lawyer fees, advertising fees, and what's the next fee, so that's kind of where we're going with this, so.
Will they notify each municipality when, like you say, when funds start coming in, if there's an opportunity, will they send out notification, or do we just wait until?
Basically what they're gonna do is, fundings, and I'm using, the figure of 5,000, we can give that 5,000 to the fund as construction starts, and as funding comes in, that's when, if we wish to recoup our donation, if you wanna call it, or for lack of better words, then we can do that. But the construction project has to start, and the funding has to start being put in place. So at any point in time, we find that whatever funds we allocate, we need that back, we could probably claw that back within reason, type of thing. So it's fairly open, like they're being open about it, which I think is a good approach on it.
Karen, did the RM lend money to the Dubois development, or NADCO? There was a loan.
To NADCO?
Yeah.
We pay NADCO a $2,500 annual, that's our membership.
But there was I think an 89,000 or something.
That'd be a long, long time ago, but I don't think they are in Rosedale threw all that much money in there. I don't recall any of that.
Not that I recall, although we do provide backing to the community lottery the community clinic lottery, things like that. So that we do, yes.
Because
I'm not sure where that figure came from.
yeah, I'll have
that
to look
you're
it up,
referring to.
because I just thought it might relate to that in terms of
They had a question and answer part of this portion that Gorman Damon put forth, and probably Kara's seen it. It says, will this cost taxpayers in my municipality something? The 5 municipality members have provided some nominal seed funds to complete the due diligence required to determine if seniors housing in the region is viable. All seed funds will be recouped by the member municipality should construction proceed. That's from there, right from there. So that's the terminology used. So say the ball's in your guys' court, whether it be 2,000, 5,000, 10, you pick a number, I guess. The fees right now, some of the charges, theirs is within probably $3,000 was spent on advertising fees and legal fees and everything. Already that I know of, anyways, that I'm aware of, so. And how long this is gonna take, it's probably gonna be taking 12 to 18 months to get the project though, to be honest with you.
Right.
By the time they do the survey, figure out construction costs, everything else, it's gonna take a bit to get the shovel in the ground, same as any project, right? So,
And what's your thinking on like taking RM money out of the RM? Like, are you thinking it's just kind of as a shared or collective responsibility, or what's your thinking?
that's a good question. There's pros and cons to that, right? So if you're putting your ratepayers hat on, you're gonna have a different answer to that question than as a council, but it's a worthwhile project. Put it this way, you're putting money out there, we're always gonna get it back if you want to recruit it. So you're really not losing the money, you put it in a different bank account and you're never seeing it for a certain period of time. So you never really get the money. You're gonna get it back.
So putting things into perspective, if Rosedale Council felt the need to build a housing project, a development in Eden, and we wanted to put a plan together, get some schematics, send out a survey, that would mean that, I'm assuming that this group would also be on board with possibly donating $5,000 to get our project started?
Yes, this is just the hub is what this is the way I explained it. Minnedosa is the hub, so with all the municipalities involved,
Right.
so then we'll say they are Harrison Park at Sandy Lake, same thing as Eden or whatever, decide they want to make a project. So then the hub being Minnedosa, all the legwork is done. All the red tape has been put through.
Yeah.
You already know the facility, you already have, we'll call it a chef and a kitchen at Mendoza, and then they'll take the food and they'll take it to Sandy Lake, right? So then you don't have to have a red seal chef at every location. This is the hub and they can spoke out to wherever you want. And be it, could be the arm of Oakview, be it Oak Lake or Oak River, I guess, whatever it is. All those places could have that. Rapid City is another one, right? They have that opportunity that this facility could be at 20 door or 20 bedroom, 20 locations, or it could be 40 suites, depending on the information comes back. Now, the one up at Sandy Lake, maybe they only want to build a 10 one, right?
Right.
So then all those amenities and everything else could go from Minnedosa and branch out to the other municipalities and other locations. And this could be, in 20 years from now, that could be done, right? There could be, maybe 10 years from now, there needs to be one in Eden or one at Mountain Road, I don't know, that location. So it does have some benefit to it long-term if Rosedale decides to do that, or there's an interest in doing that.
Right.
If that clarifies anything.
How much interest did you get from the Arm of Rosedale on your survey?
The surveys, the surveys just come out recently here. They just got, that
Just
was,
last week.
yeah, a week ago.
Oh,
We just
Hasn't
got,
even been a full week. I
yeah.
don't think.
So the press release went out, survey with all the documentation went out at the same time. So, like I said, I think Kara's got some hard copies or paper copies at the office. Did you get it happen to put it on the website too?
I did, yeah,
Okay,
it's on the
good.
website now, and there's a document on the front counter. It's got the QR code, you just take your cell phone and hold it over it, and it'll pull up the information for you. The survey's there. We have a paper copy of the survey if anybody stops in, asks questions, wants to fill out the survey.
Yeah. This is all baby step stuff is what it is, but.
Right.
And yeah, they talked about, a donation or funding per capita, but then that gets a little messier, right? So they just try to pick a number and they're okay with any number, I guess, if we decide to proceed, so.
So is this something you have to answer soon, or is it?
The sooner the better, I guess.
No,
To be honest, we've got a resolution, on the table. To be honest, I'd like to see something put forward, respectfully, I guess, and we continue on. So.
Town Nequa got somebody on this board?
No, no. There is the RM of Harrison Park, Minto Dana, Oakview, Arm Rosedale, and Town of Mendoza. Recently, the RM of Klein William Erickson wants to participate and be on this committee as well, or this project.
They're not part of it now.
Not at the present time. No, they haven't been incorporated into it at this point in time, but we are at this point in time, so. So it's, I know we've got a lot of our own projects and stuff going on, I understand that, but it's like, it's not money that we can't recoup at some point in time if we do wish to do that. And
Well, no, what I was saying is that it'd be nice to have this out for our taxpayers to see what they think of it, what the feedback is. Like,
yeah,
that's why I said, do we have to have an
Well, we don't
answer
have-
at this moment that we can give
If
people
you-
time to,
if you guys want to wait till the next meeting, that's fine too. I'm sure.
like, I don't see nothing against it.
No.
But you wanna do what taxpayers want because you're here for taxpayers, you know, like.
Yeah. If you guys want to see
ask
us,
some questions.
yeah. If you guys want to wait till next month for feedback, like I said, I'll take it forward.
Table this till
Do you
next,
want to
The
just
next
write the word
meeting
table?
is until, I believe it's April 13th is our next Zoom meeting in
Day
February.
before.
Okay?
Day before our next
before our
council.
next meeting.
That'll work out okay.
Yeah,
That's no
yeah.
problem.
Okay.
And I
And
can
in
reach
the
out to,
meantime,
I'll
there might
reach
be
out to
more.
Grant and say that, you know, we need some time to assess it, I guess, and we'll go forward at the next meeting, so if that's okay with you guys.
I feel better if I knew that there's a lot of people
Oh, they're signing
that
it.
are interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
nobody's interested, you don't get anybody. I don't wanna look like a fool if you're putting money somewhere like that.
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's why I respectfully said, you know, put your thoughts and that was one comment I did make. You know, it's a matter of having the interest of the ratepayers.
Yeah, exactly. They're behind you, then your project will
Well,
fly.
we're here because of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're their spokesperson, so yeah, just, and if somebody's talking to whoever in your area,
Let them know.
mention it, so get some feedback that way, I don't know.
Go go on the website, check it out, see what you think of it.
And no disrespect, but people in Jeff's
You asked me.
area will be more apt to go that way than anyplace else. You know, and I say, no disrespect, but that's the way I look at it.
You can take it on your.
Oh, okay, where somebody in Cal is probably gonna move to McCurry or to Beeflaw, right, as compared to Manitoba. Well, yeah, or even, yeah.
Good place down there to eat?
Yeah. To the condo deck. Okay, then that's good, and we will pass that information on to the board members.
That was just in your folder, sorry, that's for you to take home.
Okay.
I guess Colleen put it in there, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that was in your folder.
Thank you.
We have folders.
Everybody's got a
You've
phone.
got a folder too, you just don't know it yet, it's okay. But you have no information today, sorry.
We're worse than the CIA.
That's right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so, next item on the agenda, I believe, is possibly getting quotations for overhead door. So
A really quick aside, I was,
Three
on a
quotations.
dresser for Lady Minnedosa and do a before, because the facilities weren't sufficient for her in Minnedosa. And it was like, you know, 90, something like that, so away from
You
the
just
house.
have to read this
I really think being able to keep people in their home community is so important.
You know, people are.
Oh, okay.
We got your group.
Your neighbors here,
Yeah.
you're moving with your
People
neighbors.
especially.
Yeah.
Okay, we have quotations for the overhead door at the shop, and everyone should have
I'm hoping everyone has. the-
documents.
Just feel the people up here, or, oh, sure, I printed that off last night. I should have done
All I have is the resolution.
If you go into the documents, there's no folder under quotes.
We'll just give a spin.
Overhead door.
All right.
There hopefully will be 3 quotations in there.
Yeah. Now,
These guys are in Brandon.
I don't know if you know this, Karen, or not, but actually, I asked Daryl the other day when the door went down, it went down twice this week, by the way, fell off the tracks, from what I've been understanding. When we were talking about the door, I asked him what about the turnaround time to get it. I don't know if that information is, do you have, Karen, or not?
I don't know,
Okay, but this is by word of mouth is all it was. So Hanover doors was 3 to 4 weeks, is what they've said would be the turnaround time to get a door. The other one, Universal Doors, 4 to 6 weeks. And the last, G&B doors, I didn't get a quote on that one because the specs on that door was less. Like the R value on that thing was terrible. So they're not comparable.
Two different.
So Daryl didn't inquire about that when he asked for the quotations at all?
As far as for the timeline,
Right,
I don't, no, I can't recall that, to be honest. I can't tell you yes or no. I think he looked at the door, same thing too, and we're not comparing apples to apples, but he still should have got the numbers, yeah, no, but I don't know, I didn't ask him that. so.
okay, no, that's all right, just wondering.
Now, how are these things supposed to be handled? Like, is this part of the budget and then Daryl makes the decision? Or is it supposed to be Daryl presents it to you, you make the decision? Or is it supposed to come here, we make the decision?
Right, so according to our procurement our policy, sorry, we are required within reason to get quotes and award the bid. Anything under $5,000, I as a CAO am allowed to award the bid, as long as we choose the lowest bid.
Okay.
Now, if for some reason these doors are $10,000, they need to be brought to council, especially if we're not going to award the lowest bid. And I was informed ahead of time that it was recommended that we don't take the lowest bid, so therefore it has to wait for council.
Okay.
So it is unfortunate that the door was stuck open twice this week, understandable. I can understand Daryl's concerns. Unfortunately, according to our procurement policy though, like he called me and said, can you put a rush on the doors? And I said, you need to call somebody to fix the door immediately. If it's stuck open today, you need it closed today. So in other words, I had to guide him through some of those steps, but the standard procedure is for the foreman to get quotes, send them to the office at his earliest convenience. Under best case scenarios, he could foresee the fact that we needed the door to be replaced, and therefore he would call well in advance, and then we could let council have time to discuss it and approve it.
But in this case, it was one of those emergency situations where it fell down and oops, now we got a problem, got fixed.
Yeah, it was an emergency actually in December,
Yeah. And
so here we are in March.
hindsight being hindsight, should have been dealt with maybe in a different manner, I'm not sure, or a different way of doing it, or be at a special meeting, so. And this is my thought, guys, you know, we have a meeting once a month, which is fine, but if something happens on 2 days after we leave here, and it's just something, a situation like this, maybe going forward, we should jump on it quicker, I guess, get the quotes, have a meeting, so the door could have been halfway here already, or installed, just for future reference. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn now.
No,
but
something like that is emergency.
and unfortunately, in this case, you know, when you look at, the way I look at it, this is my own thought only, is you have one door that's gonna be here, one company can provide the door 2 weeks sooner than the other. And of course, they are the lower bid, or the middle of the road bid, I guess, put it that way. So, personally, I think that's the way to go, because you get it quicker, because if this door comes down one more time, it may be the last time, right? Or if we, to be honest, if it was Universal Doors and Brand, I would prefer them because they're closer, but, and they've done service work for us.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
They're an hour away.
Right. So,
But I'm not saying we can't go that way, but it's just gonna take longer to get the door, and I guess that's my only concern, I guess.
With universal door.
Yeah, being longer time period to get the door. And they say 4 to 6 weeks, well, it could show up in the 4th week. And Hanover could order it and show up in the 4th week, so guess what, we're not,
Far enough.
yeah.
What was the timeline for GNB?
He didn't, I don't have, that's not information we don't have.
Hanover door is pretty quick, I'll say that, even though where they are located, they're fast. Because I'd rate use them all the time over in Spring Hill and that. But I know they're pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say nothing bad, but either one of them, I don't know either one, but I just.
No, I can't either.
Yeah.
They're quick on
I've
coming.
dealt with both companies in my past, and I've been happy with both, so I have no qualm one way or the other.
I made a comment to Daryl about the windows. And what do you need windows for? Well, it's awful dark in there. I said, whatever you do, get those windows so somebody can't come by and look in.
You see the lane right
It's
here.
gotta be done on the third panel.
Is it the third one?
Yeah, third one up.
Yeah.
Gotta be
You can't
done.
stop anybody backing up with a pickup and looking, but I mean, somebody just walking around.
Exactly.
And I agree, it gets dark in there,
Oh, yeah.
but
What was the time?
Universal was 4 to 6.
4-6.
Yeah.
And then Hanover was,
It was
3 to 4.
3 to 4, 3 to 4, yeah. And there is a $1,500 difference. I just go by the subtotal, I don't look at that side of it, right?
No, but how long?
Honestly, but it's just,
Oh, no, I didn't.
I can say $1,500 is a whole bunch more if we're gonna go with Universal. I don't know if that's, I'm good with either which way, other than the timeline to get it, but how do you know that?
What the rest do you think?
You can order anything nowadays, and they can tell you the end of the month, and I ordered a part the other day for a guy's snowblower, and he said be on the end of the month of February, he's bang on. So, you don't know, any company can tell you 3 to 4, 4 to 6, or 8 weeks, right, so.
Which company came out to repair the door when the last time?
I think that was probably Universal, wasn't it, Kara?
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yeah.
and the R value, because the GMB is 16 and the Universal is 18.
Yeah.
There's the other one.
Yeah, and the other one's 16, so that's why the GMB one, yeah, shining away from that because of the R value. Less quality of the door, right? Can't compare apples to apples, right? Apples and oranges, so. So you were thinking Universal, Robert?
Yeah, that's what I thought, just because I know it's not the right way of doing it. You're supposed to always buy the lowest tender. This one's a little bit better R value, but it's also a little bit more money. But they're closer.
And they're doing some work for us anyway.
Is it possible to put this going forward that if we honor their estimate, that they would do, say, 5 years of once a year come out for maintenance? That gives you the extra dollar value? I know that's not the process, don't get me wrong.
You'd have to negotiate that with the company, that's not council's decision, so.
Yeah. It's just an idea put forward, so then, so, okay, guys, they come every September, October, be up front with them and say, okay, you guys weren't the winning bid, but if you will put in the next 5 years, coming out once a year to do a general on-site maintenance program for us, then we would award it to them.
You gotta give that to the other company, that if you give us 5 years, and they say, yeah, well then,
Yeah.
you can't give
Well,
to one, not to the other.
I'm just throwing it out there, so.
Once you do a quote thing, it has to be applied for both,
Yeah.
not one only.
Well, we can turn on and do
We'll
it.
just get ourselves in hot water
Yeah,
that way.
okay, that's fair enough then, understand that side.
True enough.
Yeah.
One way or another, we've got to make a decision on it and get it ordered.
Yeah, I agree, and to be honest, it should be ordered
Yesterday.
today, to be honest, so.
So,
What are you thinking, Robert, Universal?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my vote.
Okay, I'll go with that. Because it's, like you say, they've been good with us, so. They're not the cheapest, but they're the best.
I like the shorter one because, they could say 6 to 8 and then end up being 10 to 12. But, I don't know,
That's a crapshoot, right?
yeah, that's the thing, we're
Yeah.
back to rolling the dice again.
Oh, yes.
Those guys could be, what was it, 4 weeks?
4 to 6 on the Universal, and the other guy's 3 to 4, they could
3
be,
to 4,
it could be the
right?
same day in both of them,
Yeah,
right?
or they could be 6 to 8. Who knows?
Yeah,
You don't know.
that's the thing.
Yeah, no,
It's just,
yeah.
Well, as long as we can, I don't care either one of them, as long as we don't get into anything with being the more expensive one that the guy lost out the bid because he was,
Yeah.
not close enough for what we thought. I don't wanna.
Well, they're, actually Universal is more expensive.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, if Hanover did a bunch of complaining that, hey, we're supposed to use the lower bid, but.
That's for council to decide, not them, right?
Yeah, and I'm not saying
To
that.
be honest, that's,
So, everybody agrees Universal, or which way do you wanna go?
As long as it's a better door, I don't want that.
Yeah, that one you did.
Door quality.
yeah, no, it is,
No, no sense putting a lower quality.
well, it's a little bit better.
It's the same amount of money for a
Our
quality door,
value,
so you don't even look at that one.
Yeah.
It's a universal.
It's a little bit, the back one, the last one, it's not close.
It's too hard, but
yeah, that's,
2 points out.
Well, moving forward then,
18 to 18.
if we all agree, do we all agree?
Well, everybody should have their say.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't
You say
feel,
Ron?
yeah. Earl?
I'm Universal too, yeah. That's who does my doors also.
Jeff?
I'm going to, on half, abstain because I don't know anything about overhead doors. So I'd be willing to go through, but the other one I'll say though is R16 versus R18 is a vanishingly small BTU capture because each R is half the previous BTUs. So when you go from R16 to R18, you're capturing like 50 BTUs per hour compared to like that first R, which is capturing like 5,000 BTUs per hour. Right, so that's the only thing, R16 to R18, because it's exponential, it's not linear. It's not really a big difference. But I'm abstaining because I don't know anything about overhead doors.
Okay. Ron?
No, you can't use that line.
So they're over, like, say, I don't know, say, I know we want to get a phone, but I say, not a whole lot of difference. Let's say, I guess,
Yeah, like I don't know if there's a better difference in the quality, like this, this one's 26 gauge, I don't know whether Universal's just built heavier because it's thicker, because it'll have to be thicker, right? So it's probably a sturdier door,
Yeah.
but for.
Only an inch and 3/4 door is
Yeah.
G&B, the cheap line, because it's thinner
Inch
door.
3/4.
Inch and 3/4 only. The other ones doesn't really specify, but I think they're thicker than that, because the one that's on there now is probably 2.5 ballpark, so it'll be at least that quality.
I think the other ones will be around about 2 inches, because a lot of the all new ones are all around 3 doors.
they all have that rate.
We don't have that
I don't know a lot
extra
about
doors
doors
here.
either.
No,
Yeah, don't make
our guys
That
have
3 inch hardware.
more, it's,
That was in that.
Oh,
These doors have all that reinforcement too. I mean, I
I
helped
don't
my
know.
cousin put a door here probably 2 months ago, but I mean, I don't even.
I would assume that, because my door isn't as wide as the shop door, I have that
Right,
in
reinforced.
2 places, like across the door.
Just 2?
2 or 3, yeah, I can't, I never seen it since last night, Ron, I can't remember. But no, there's 2 or 3 of those bands, 2 or 3 of those bands on the door, for sure.
So he's got on every
This,
panel.
this will have every panel.
Every panel?
Every panel.
Well, that's a big
Yeah,
door,
2
this
inches.
is a big
That's a big door, yeah.
But mine
Get
is
this.
3.
Yeah.
They'll have that 2-inch metal
Yeah,
piece on the
yeah,
back.
Yeah, it goes
Because
to
the
the
boys do under by.
They all have that,
The
takes
old
up the
one
whole wall,
has that.
Yeah,
when they get that length.
yeah, so they don't.
Yeah, buckle, yeah.
So,
What do you think, Ernie?
moving
Well, like I
forward,
say, I don't care, like, whatever, they need a door, but I'm just hoping that Universal Door is on their time limit and not end up being 12 weeks.
What is
And
it?
then we're gonna kick ourselves in the shorts
I don't
because,
think we can win that argument, if you
well,
can.
no, we're not gonna, like, but
Difference?
$1,500 difference between Hanover and Universal.
Hanover is 11.2,
11
and
to,
Universal is 13.5.
Actually, you got, the taxes aren't right, go by the subtotal, that's the more accurate. 12.2 to 10.7, so $1,500. $1,500.
Especially if they're already repairing the mess we got, maybe gets us a door in, I know.
True.
Those other guys, the folks will call, fix what's going on right now for the.
Yeah, but happens Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Chances are they might be here, but Hanover might not be.
chances are neither one of them don't.
Well,
Those other guys come pretty quick the last time, the first time the door was in trouble. They come in.
they've been really good, Universal over the years, like, when I was
Like
doing.
I say, it don't matter to me, like, if they need a door there, you gotta get a door in there, so.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this, I should say this, it's being recorded, but it's these 2 top ones that we're talking about, Universal and Hanover.
Hanover, yeah.
Why don't we give our CAO, she knows the quote, tell her to phone each one and get the best deal for the RMO out there.
Negotiate, yeah.
You know?
See how much of a rush order you can get
Why
on.
doesn't the deputy pick up the phone? Because he knows what he's talking
Well,
about.
if you want, throw it back to
Just
Dave's
kidding.
board and let Dave
I
call.
I can make the call, that's no problem.
Daryl.
Do you want-
You got the
do
gold
you want
Or
me to
Daryl,
ask
too, either one.
Daryl?
Daryl will do the call.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever.
In a maintenance
I just thought
agreement.
somebody should talk to them, maybe.
Sure.
Well, ear to ear.
We have to understand, council needs to understand too, is when you request a quote, if they're not putting their best foot forward by giving you the numbers that work best for them, then what is the tendering process for, right?
Yeah.
So we do have to understand that calling to try and negotiate after you've already received the bids
bid, yeah.
I was
is
thinking
a little bit.
delivery, that's
Yeah,
what I was
and
wondering.
absolutely,
If
yeah,
they
you're
can push
exactly
the
right.
delivery,
Yeah, I
Which
which
just,
one can push
just have
harder?
to be cautious, that's all.
I'll make the motion that we buy the universal door. Fair at that.
I'll second it.
Agree?
I'll
No,
second
we'll
it.
just, yeah, we'll get to the agree part in a
Oh.
second. But that way it gets on the tables.
Right.
We just gotta get done.
It's got it.
You know, we're gonna get a door order,
And
that's.
like I said,
One more D, one more D.
Right
Another
now.
week, actually.
So, a universal door, does everyone agree?
Yeah.
So carried. So we'll put this on as a resolution then?
Okay.
So then we need to talk to Gerald to get them ordered, or Carrie does that? or makes the phone call.
I think it should be the foreman, personally.
Okay, well, fair enough, I'm just asking.
Then,
He'll be here
if they
shortly.
say
He's here
they'll, he's here now, yeah.
Oh.
If they say, you know what, we'll be there next week to make an appointment to measure or something like that, then the foreman knows. He doesn't, it doesn't need to go through me.
Okay,
Not
fair.
that portion of the planning, that's,
I should read this first.
Oh, you're sorry, guys.
The Council of the Municipality of Rosedale approves quotation estimate from the replacement of the Public Works Department head door submitted by Universal. For the amount of 13,500. 7631. Moved, Earl. Second, Dave. All in favor? Carried.
are you ready for Daryl then?
Come on down, you're the next good
Come on in,
Yes, sir, it is.
Good choice on the door too, because they've been in already looking, like when they fixed it the first time, and they know some of the stuff that's wrong with it already, so that's probably why it floats a little high. There could be some wood rot on the sides, and they would notice that when they were putting the screws in, so. I'm just saying, it's better to go that way than going with Hanover, because Hanover, they wanted us to rent a hoist to, because they didn't want to bring their hoist all the way up. So that would have been a cost on us too.
That's good.
Okay, right on. Thanks.
Thanks.
Get in the corner, Robert.
So you guys, the last month, we've been plowing with the wind and the snow that we've had. One grader pretty well has been in 1 and 3 all month. The other graders have been pretty well in between the rest of them. We've been pushing the snow back with the graders as much as we can. We got the trailer is fixed for now. We're waiting for a rubber mount for the back. Like there's a rubber mount in the front of the cylinders and a rubber mount on the back of the cylinders. The rubber mount on the front, that's where the cylinder, when the big, like the stationary cylinders, when the cylinders come down, kind of pushes a little bit to the front. We're looking at putting brackets, like clamps on them and that, but we figured that it would put too much pressure and it wouldn't give those cylinders a little movement, then all of a sudden they'll start bending more. So we took the back rubber from the back and just put it onto the front for now. So it's going again. It's been pushing all week. He's on 471 right now, pushing that. We got 88 for Robert, still needs to be pushed back. It's gonna cause us problems, so we'll get that pushed back hopefully next week. Hopefully the week after it'll start melting. But
When he's on 471, can he do that spot beside Nestor's, or did they?
they did, Kelsey pushed it with the grader,
Or,
and he pushed it right.
Okay,
It's packed, like we
Yeah,
have
good.
lots of room there.
that was the spot that I kinda,
Yeah, no, that's done. I think most of all the spots, the troubled spots we have have been pushed back quite a bit. We get enough room for us for this snowstorm.
Can I get that one on 87, just where Bill's Road is by McLeodson? That bad spot there, there's one just by that creek.
With the cow?
Yeah, if they can push that back, because it's like an 8-10 foot bank there. It's the only one that's I'm gonna have an alarm with if I get this snowstorm, it's gonna build up in there big time. Other than that, I haven't seen really any bad.
That's 87 north, right?
Yeah. It's only that mile off the highway or
Like
whatever.
I said, both graders broke down for roughly, say, a half a day, kind of going up and running. Hydraulic hose, it was a special hose that had that stupid metal flange that goes in and around. Cat didn't have one, so we got it from Brandon Barron. They made it up. And the bracket for the wing, it was rusted and broke for a long time and just let go. So we got Penn we built a plate and we got that up and running. Other than that, yeah, just doing, fixing doors. There was one day we couldn't get the graders out at all, the door, it took us all day to get the door fixed. So the graders were stuck inside. One was stuck in between half and half inside and half out. And last week it happened, or the other day it happened again, so.
Right.
The guys did a good job, they fixed it as much as they could. We got it working for now, so hopefully it stays working until we get a new one. The guys are getting pretty good at fixing it.
Fixing the door.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully you don't have to do it anymore.
Exactly.
No.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, no. Is there anything else?
I just wanted to say that the graders were down for 2 days or whatever in the shop or something, that something was broke. This last snowstorm that we had previously, they weren't out, we were informed that there was parts, Kelsey went for parts or something. Fix them.
Went for that hose, they got.
They went for that
hose.
hose, that was only the half a day
Half
this
a
month,
day?
yeah.
Okay.
And
No,
then
okay,
the
I
other
just
grader-
wondering, because the reason I want to say this, because I got a phone call, and actually it was a very nice one, to tell you the truth. But, you know, when I have to go to a ratepayer and say, well, did you talk to your counselor? And they inform me the counselor doesn't have a clue what's going on. I would prefer that, you know, the CAO would know that if a grader's down for an existing amount of time, that she could inform all of us. Because when I say I don't know,
Kara knew that day that those graders were down, because I phoned Robert and I phoned you.
You told me that you were working on.
Yeah, we were working on them both.
I didn't know that there was 2 down. You told me about one needing a hose, so.
Oh,
my
no, the other
perspective-
grader broke down at the end of the day, like it was right at the
yeah,
end of the day.
okay. Well, just so everybody's on the up and up, that's all.
And Robert knew about it as soon as it happened,
Yeah, I know.
because he's the only one that's close, and I'm the only one that, like, I don't have your phone number,
No, I know.
so.
But you should go through your CAO.
Yeah, but
So that she can,
She knew about it, the next day I told her about the other grader, because it was right at the end of the day. And actually, we took it to Penno right at 4:30, and by that morning, he gave it to Mike Smith to bring it to the shop, so
Okay.
he worked pretty well. I don't know what time, how it worked still, but.
yeah, no, I'd like to keep everybody on the same page, so
Yeah.
that I don't get this phone call again, because if I know, then I can say to the ratepayer, hey, we got a grader down, we're working on it the best we can. When I tell them that I don't know anything, it really makes the RM look bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Would it be feasible to say that maybe if the grader's down for more than a day, we should be notified? If it's down for 2 hours, we don't be?
a day, I would say.
A day, because
2 hours,
anything,
2
you know,
hours
if
is
it's, all of a
fine,
sudden, if it goes down for 2 hours,
Yeah.
if he's on the phone talking to Kara, and meanwhile, he can be
No.
fixing the hose,
Yeah.
every Thomas said going about it, so.
No, I know, if it's a day,
Day thing?
yeah,
Just,
so that we know.
it's a level playing field, I guess,
Yeah.
in respect for them too, to get things done, so.
Yeah,
So, is that okay? I think that's fair, Darryl? Okay.
okay.
We try to get things fixed as fast as we can.
Yeah.
No, I get that. I just want everybody in the loop though, that's the only thing.
Yep.
We do have a process of running, that we have to run council at. You know, and as it gets scheduled, like Kara's our only employee, you know, so we don't really, we should have nothing to do with you guys in the shop at all, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because that's not our job. Our job is here to make policies, set budgets, and I'm sorry, but that's the way it's ran.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so provincial and federal government lay laws how to run our municipality. We gotta start sticking to it because everybody's gonna get their hands slapped or whatever.
No, we gotta follow the rules.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly, as long as everybody's on the same board. I also will ask council that from here forward, we don't do any more road building or
Construction?
big construction unless it's approved by council and the CAO knows about it. Now, little stuff like, one of the councils needs you to touch up a road that they put on the worksheet or whatever, and I'm fine with that. I don't want the little stuff coming, but if there's any major big projects, guys, we gotta know about it. Because if it's gonna tie up you guys, and the maintenance ain't getting done on the roads, we're gonna get screamed at.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a specific project?
Yeah,
Well, I was thinking that,
Like you're talking like an installation of a culvert or?
yeah, it's like
anything?
like a big, where it's gonna tie you up.
Yeah,
see that, nothing got done before winter hit. Like the roads didn't get graded, because you guys are busy doing, those jobs need to start getting done in the summer, not in the fall. But if it started to get close to our fall, let's push it to the next year.
yes.
And then this way, all our maintenance on all our roads, this way we don't have this on all of our roads, like,
True.
it holds our guys up and
Mm-hmm.
we're better off to farm it out and
Or farm it out, or carry
get
it
our guys
over.
going.
Yeah.
But that's just what I thought, like, cause I know my roads are bad, and I know Jeff's are bad, and I've been in the Summit Roberts, and his has got that, and, it's hard, but the guys were busy doing another job, and they couldn't
The
get to
farmers
it.
and the grain haulers and the
That's-
rail haulers.
Yeah.
And
And
when you
it's
have
wet in the fall.
Yeah,
How do you fix that?
and if it doesn't,
No, I know.
like last year, it froze, then it was warm, then it froze, then it was warm, and like those gravel, or the grain haulers, they don't stop.
Well, no, I'm not saying that,
No.
just if we can, to keep the jobs more towards summer, not toward.
Specific at certain times,
Yeah.
yeah. And Dave, another thing is, loan, or, what is his gravel company there?
Grapple?
Ramble, hauling rock on the back road, 101, going east of his place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just make sure he stops before spring.
Yeah,
Or
that
hills,
road, both ways from coming out of his yard gets abused, I guess, or gets beat up pretty good, because there's a lot of traffic, a lot of weight on there, so.
So I know he's hauling big rock on it
Okay.
right now, so.
No,
But
that's
it's
not a provincial road, right?
No, it's just our
that's
road.
ours.
So does he pay?
You'll have to pay
For a
when he
hauling?
moves.
I don't know, you'll have to make, does he pay or doesn't he? I guess he does, so.
Yeah, that's part of our bylaw.
Yeah,
So
so
your
I'll keep-
report should actually be to the office to let us know
I'll,
when he's
but
hauling and how
I
many
only saw one
trucks.
truck on it with rock, so I'll keep an eye on that
Yeah.
road
Yeah.
and make sure, I'll just sit there for a couple hours and make sure how many roads he's
Well, you don't
hauling.
even have to do that. I can give him a call and let him know that he needs to report on it. He did report on 2022 hauling, so he's been compliant.
He's
not.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
like the road's pretty good now, but it's, yeah, there's a couple spots there, once the spring hits, it gets a little swampy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and usually he's pretty good.
This is what we're pushing them to do, right when it's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
no, that's what I'm thinking, like, well, it's froze, he can haul as much as he wants.
So when it starts to get soft, we'll get the heck off it.
Well, your restrictions will be going on pretty soon too,
Yeah, we'll do.
in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that, yeah, like that.
I'm hoping next week it starts smoking.
So for service time standards internally, like what do you expect from the operators in terms of, for a minor snow event, major snow event? What do you expect for a complete RM removal?
Well, like a complete RM,
Every road done, cleaned up from the last snowstorm? Like do you have some service time expectations, like for your guys, as to how long it should take them to do their routes?
really, it depends on the amount of snow you get, how fast you can go. If it's heavy snow, if it's light snow. To open them up, depends if they wanna work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, 8 hours a day. But. with
I guess
three-
maybe my question was, what do you expect from them? Not what they want, but what do you expect?
I expect all the roads to be open within 3 days.
Okay.
At
In the
least-
RM?
In the RM, the whole RM, 3 days, well, with the 3 graders,
Should be
Yeah.
good.
easy, 3 days. And then after that, start pushing it back, getting it, cleaning intersections wider, or
Brushing stuff up.
pushing things back, so it's not, well, especially now, right now, so it's not melting, right on the road.
It's like, you know, I had checked out the road because I right there called me the last time we were up our way. And you get this, like, cause the snowbank through the greater sideways.
And then he didn't back up and
No.
push it off.
And there's a few spots like that, and I don't understand that. It's a simple procedure.
Does it need dozer?
No,
Maybe it's high.
No, it just needs to be, like, say, your wing needs to come up a little bit and take half of it and then
Come back and hit it
come
again.
back and hit it
Hit
again.
it again.
Because the wings, like, 2 of our wings are not capable of taking that full brunt of the snow. Kelsey's wing can, but the 160 all-wheel drive, but yeah, that's all it takes is to
Right.
lift it up, cut it, and then roll it over again, and then
Yeah,
even if you have to cut it, like take the top off it again and roll it
Yeah.
over again.
exactly.
Yeah, I'll mention it to him.
Another thing I have is, how are you guys making up with your shoes?
We're actually doing good.
Good.
Those bars, those wire bars,
Wire bars?
they're really, really good. Like, the one grader had them on since we've got them, haven't worn 'em out yet, so.
All right, we gotta keep moving. We got
Okay,
what's on the
guys.
agenda
I've got one
today.
comment, by the way, there's a gentleman from his ward, by the way, I'm stealing your thunder, by the way, that gave a compliment out saying that actually the roads in his area, that's the best they've ever seen in 45 years that he's lived there. So take that as a win. If there's compliments, you need to hear them too, so
Good
there
job.
you go. Thank you, thank you for that.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Daryl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Opposed?
So we've got, does council want to discuss snow clearing by custom workers, or do we feel like we'll be okay until after the snowstorm?
See how things go.
I think we're gonna
See how things go.
Great.
If everything is good, then we don't.
last year. I think we're good.
If we get 3 snowstorms in a row, we might be looking for something, but we'll look then.
Would you say that again? Is it snowstorms in a row?
Well, no, I'm just saying, we're looking last year.
Don't say that out loud.
Snowstorms in a row.
We didn't think of it, don't say that.
Every week.
So this is the.
I don't underestimate anything anymore
This
after
is a
last
letter
year.
from Shannon Levinovsky with regards to the extension.
Oh, we did, we went through this.
Right, yeah, so if council's okay with it,
I didn't have a problem with the guy doing my snow traps yesterday.
Excuse me.
so I'm sorry,
We've changed
but if you guys are not interested in allowing her to extend the building timeline, then council agrees not to
Authorize the extension on the building.
for Shannon Levinovsky, requested by Shannon.
Inspected by
Levinovsky.
Shannon Windows.
This is not now?
This is based on recommendations provided by the Nicoine Area Planning District, our financial auditor, as well as municipal services.
Well, also our own policy, I
Our
read
own
through it.
policy, exactly.
And we'd have to amend the policy.
We actually should.
If we wanted to approve that, we'd have to amend the policy, because our policy says, and I don't know who voted for it, or who brought it in, but our policy says that, like, we should be saying not.
We never should have actually sold the property to her by tender, simply because she had no intent on building on it in the first place.
So is Cheyenne going to be aware of this information as well? once we
Absolutely.
pass this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, once the meeting's done, I'll send her a letter.
So, we have a resolution. Council agrees not to authorize the extension to build on as requested as Cheyenne Lewinsky. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Seconder?
Sure.
All in favor?
I'm gonna vote against.
All against?
I went against. Been up first.
Last year.
So that
So you can
is
just write E. Burton against.
You put my name on there too.
Against?
I'm sitting on the fence on that one. I don't wanna go against our planning district, so.
Carried. Do I have to put those all in favor? Also, no?
Last year, April 25th. Isn't that crazy?
That's what I said.
Yeah.
You still got time?
Don't underestimate.
Look at all the snow.
I was, unreal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And,
Last
oh,
year,
do you want that or no?
Crazy.
No, like I said, hopefully not.
This is for the CEO report that I provided,
You can see that
with
again.
regards to Way to Go Consulting, hiring an administrator, green
All right.
team.
Okay, a resolution that February 2023 Chief Administration Officer report has been received as information. Sorry, my whole thing. Do I have a mover? Second. All in favor? Carried.
Sorry, I'm looking for the gravel hauling, there they are. So there's quotes on your computer for the gravel tenders that we received. One of them is from E&K Concentric.
Can I sit on this till the decision's made though?
It's entirely up to you.
Oh, no, I'm just wondering, that's just a question.
I mean,
I don't know how you put that, like,
Yeah, I know.
cause are you employed with them or you,
I'm an employee, I'm not,
it's not your employer, it's not, got nothing to do with your.
So if he's not getting
No.
a check for it,
the name is the same, but I'm not.
Yeah, the name is the same, but you're not any part of the business, so I don't see why you should have to.
Yeah, I don't know, I just, no, I don't wanna get in trouble, that's all.
Then, oh,
I
yeah.
understand, but I remember one other time I had to leave and I didn't remember telling Mike, so I stayed.
We ever see if you had an interest in, it was in your.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you were hauling for it, I thought that you received a wage through the company, so I just
Oh,
assumed,
wage through the company?
yeah.
Through their company, yes, I do, yeah.
So then that's.
So that's a
Yeah,
conflict of
that's-
interest.
yeah,
You're an employee,
That's
you're
a
employed.
conflict.
Yeah, I'm plugging it, yeah.
So then, yeah, you wanna step out then.
Yeah.
You wanna leave,
where is
just to
the,
save your butt.
I just,
Yeah, I just wonder.
Just
Oh,
wondering if you
sorry,
weren't
it should
employed,
be
you had no
in
money
your
coming from rent.
documents.
Yeah.
what name it goes back to
no, but I
the,
just thought, what I'm
And
saying is,
then
Like, that's just
there's a
like,
folder
he's
called,
leaving because
March
his employer put in
2010.
for.
sorry, March 10th,
You just wanna save.
2023
Yeah, don't get
quotes.
yourself in trouble,
And then gravel hauling and spreading.
it's not worth it.
okay.
Oh, yeah, gravel haulers.
Well, I think you have to re-sign it because you've downloaded that piece into your screen there, I think. Right, I'm not the, I'm not the tech guy around here, I'll tell you. I've messed around with this thing for the last three weeks, so.
Yeah, you can get the gravel. Sure. I guess maybe if I go to.
So, you advertised this and these guys have responded and we're voting on it.
100%.
And it's under 10,000, there we go. It doesn't come here over 10 first.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, on the other side, like it's.
So if you needed a couple hundred yards of gravel for a project and you had to tender that out, that would just be done.
I guess I should do that every time.
Because we're hauling approximately 25,000, I think 25,000 to 30,000 yards of gravel. The grand total is over $100,000 worth of funds or expense, right? So.
Is there anything after the 10, is there another layer where it's even more bureaucracy or is it?
No, off the top of my head, I don't believe so. Sorry, I haven't looked at it just recently, so I don't.
Shit. That's
days you get $5 per yard right across.
Oh.
On Baker's, when he split the line through, is that like, he's not interested in bidding on it?
That's right.
Yeah, and he doesn't want the ones. That looks to me, looks like maybe it's got the 3 cell phones. Where's one?
See this
So,
one?
sorry.
No, that's okay, so you put the name of the company and then how much they're charging
That's
for
for
that
this.
award.
Oh, okay.
You could have,
Yeah.
So I just asked them all
Yeah.
board.
so Ernie, yeah, Ernie.
So you pick the one.
Yeah.
Okay, I see how that goes.
Exactly.
Okay,
This
okay.
is Baker.
Okay.
Baker is 5 even.
So it's Ward.
5 even.
So how do we do Robbins?
Yeah, okay.
It's up to council. That's sort of form a consensus or however you decide, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would suggest the lowest bid, but it's entirely.
Yeah, no.
Sometimes there's a tie.
Do right?
In the past, we split it between 2 contractors. I don't recommend that. The contractors actually get upset about it because they haven't been awarded the whole thing. Some have given me feedback in the past.
If you'll let me.
Sort of like, well, I want an all or nothing kind of thing.
Right.
But that's just a recommendation.
Okay.
So it's not a requirement, it's just a recommendation.
So with this, I guess Ward 1.
See Baker, he knows my ward, so I'm not gonna say no. He's done well.
And he was at
Or 525, I should say, sorry.
525.
Yeah.
We'll look at that again. That's, are you gonna write that down? So I have that.
Ward 2.
I'm just showing Robert price.
Okay,
So Red Bull said 450 and Baker said 5. And like but if you don't want to sell it, like you're just gonna award everything.
Well, it depends who you want to reward the whole Ward to.
Are you doing the ward by ward? Or are you?
By
Oh,
ward.
I thought you were doing it when you're splitting the RM, that's what I thought.
No,
Oh, no, I'm
just your
sorry.
ward.
I just meant, yeah, in the past, they've had 2 bids come in at the same dollar amount for 1 ward, and then council chose to split it somehow.
And then 2 is,
Yeah,
UK
because
is
Red Bull was
$6.50.
450 compared to $5 for
Very
Baker.
good.
Right, right.
Is there any other concerns for, like, other than price, in terms of like reliability or like access or anything? Or is everybody pretty much equal?
Yes.
I haven't had Red Bull do any of mine, so I don't know, like, I've just always had Baker, and he's good job, and good.
Oh, yes, no, he's done a great job for us in the past. Like,
You go Red Bull?
all of the guys.
All of
And, well, sorry, I haven't had cost check boys doing gravel in my word, but I mean, I've heard good things, so
Mhm.
you're safe with them all, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
So
It's just one man's vote.
So it's pretty much $1.
It's all
That's
money,
a dollar thing,
yeah.
Is there a penalty for?
That was the question.
Yes, it's in the tender.
I couldn't see that. Okay, I'll look again.
Penalty after July,
I don't know, $500 per day.
$500 per day, yeah. After
That's
July
on the
31st.
original. Well, that's on the original tender part. Oh, this part. Right, this is the proposal, their proposal. Okay, so $500 a day. Payable to councilors.
Ward 2.
So that should be around.
Yeah, rental's $450, Pat's $5, and concentrate $650.
So it's E and K.
No, he's,
No, no.
Rebel, sorry.
Oh, Rebel, just Rebel.
The Rebel's an order, well, he was agreeing.
Rumple at
How many trucks is he got?
It's in on the,
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
three, that's all.
Ward 3 is Baker.
Baker.
There. Yeah, 4 closed under load. Dump, belly dump.
At $5.25? No,
$5.
$5, yeah, for Ward 3? Yeah.
So what do we do about Ron's?
Well, that's just on
Well, if
We
we're
all-
We're picking the lowest and then everybody's down, I think it's.
I guess so, right?
You're saying $5, so.
Is, what, is he less than the other guy? Like, I never,
No, that's
I never
Ward,
looked,
sorry.
I never looked at Ron's work, because it.
Ward 4, he's not in. He's not in.
So he's 4?
It's Rempel for the rest of them.
Four.
They're both 7, cheaper for Ron's work too?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna-
Sorry.
Part of the game,
Yeah.
bid better next time.
Yeah, so Rempel is $5.50 for Ward 4.
For Ward 4, okay. So Rempel's the one we're gonna go Ward 4?
And also for Ward 5.
At $5, Rempel's?
No, $5.50.
Thanks.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I was just reading the numbers.
he was just telling numbers. Did you want someone else?
Hey?
Did you want someone else?
No, I'm good.
Oh, I thought maybe you wanted something else. I was gonna say, hang on here. Redo that again.
And Ward 5 is Rempel also.
Yeah.
Please, thank you. $5.50? And Ward 6?
Same for Rebels, the same. I don't know if the money's the same. Oh, I did read that somewhere. Yeah, Rebels didn't pay for Ward 6. But he's still cheaper than the other guy.
How much?
Sorry.
$8.50?
Yeah. The other guy was 11. So that's an easy one for me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 10.50, sorry.
We, the council of the Arm of Rosedale, accept the forwarding tender to submit for hauling and spreading gravel in 2023. Ward 1 Baker at $5.25. Ward 2 Rempel at $4.50. Ward 3 Baker at $5. Ward 4 Rempel at $5.50. Ward 5 Rempel at $5.50. And Ward 6 Rempel at $8.50. Do I have moved by?
I'll move it.
Moved to second?
Sure.
Aaron, all in favor?
Nobody else wants a second.
Carried.
Another thing. Next.
Call Ron back in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't stretch my legs.
He wants to go home.
Yeah, okay, he's probably gone.
Yeah, he's out the door. Oh, you got that wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Come on down. Oh, you want to do that?
One to be ballpark.
John is the guy that says come on.
Yeah.
You don't want to see a lot of little dark. A little something more pencil there. I'm lost there.
So we have the 2 quotes for engineering services for repairing the flood sites. Site 10 and Site 20. The first quote is from Burns Mandel for $48,725 for each site. And the other quote is from Stantec. First site is $70,000 and the other site is $60,000. So if council wants to discuss that, I just have to go print something really quick, and then we can go through the financial plan, if that's okay.
That's what that bridge culvert is, right? This is just engineering?
Yes.
Shouldn't say just, I guess. It is $50,000. I'm sorry.
Where, which one is it?
Well, I'm not sure, I just handed this piece of paper, so I'm not,
It's, the engineering firm to.
Was it is it in your quotes? Because I don't see
That's
it.
what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't see it here in the documents.
Flood 22 or something, I don't know.
this is about.
Or 22, financial, this is
That
not-
way,
I'm gonna say I don't think so. It's not on the agenda. No, it's not on there. It's not on the one I received. I'll say that.
Yeah, sorry, it's just something different. Yeah, we talked about that the last meeting when we were leaving the door. That was about that 4-inch and down pit run.
Yeah.
Goes that we can get paid for. That's why I come up again. So is that right, what I checked off on the side road? Earl? No.
It's all good, I haven't called up. Today,
Is that the right sites?
yes, the sites are right, 109, is road, and then, okay, 109, same. DH road.
We talked about 900 yards unit 9, that's what I.
Yeah, that's kind of what, I mean, the number we used, Daryl did that quick calculation, we looked at the site that
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah. There was just two little spots in the, there's 250s, I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah, that was probably in the same road, just
Oh, okay.
add on.
So-
But that, yes, the numbers are right.
Okay.
Those weren't in here?
Because I've never got into that.
Sorry?
We didn't get those quotes.
We never
They're not
got
in
into
yet.
that last fall.
So is he gonna build us?
I'm sorry?
How does that work?
Like those
Well,
ones
we
for
have
the
to talk
engineer.
to Pat, maybe, I don't know how that
We
works.
talked to the girls and of course he said they never got paid for it and that's.
Because we get paid by the road commission, so that's.
No, you're right, I apologize, they're not in there. I can scan them in, I think it was because they were so
Yeah.
lengthy.
Oh,
You want that back there? That's the other one.
So what is this for?
So this is the 2022 flood sites. Two sites in particular, they washed out, one washed out a bridge and the other one was the culverts
Yep.
that have washed out in the past. We've had problems with that area. It's a trouble area in the spring because of the water load that it takes care of. So after council went out, they had H2O management come out and do a hydrology report. He came back and he actually went out there 3 times. I think he's provided us with 3 separate reports. And after discussing it with council, the 3rd time he came back, council had asked him to do a ford crossing, so like a ford crossing, a low level crossing. And when he submitted that to council for discussion, his response to me was, I really don't feel comfortable, you know, I had to go back in my school days and get some of my textbooks out and give you this. So he said, I would be more comfortable if you actually had an engineer take a look at this. We discussed it with council and council agreed that we needed to send these out and tender them, these 2 projects for the engineering, the project management and the tendering. They take care of everything. They'll oversee you know, the hydrology reports and everything else. It's something that we don't have to take care of, we don't have to worry about our foreman taking care of, and it's all covered by disaster financial assistance. So the long and short of it is, if council approves to pass resolution today, we can get started on this ASAP. One of the, I don't remember which one it was, but they sort of did a timeline as to how long this would take. And they said that they would start working on it in March, which is obviously this month. So therefore, the sooner we pass resolution, the sooner they can get started on the project. They'll come out, they'll do the hydrology report, they'll examine the flow, the size of culverts and or bridge that's needed, whatever the case may be. And then they'll tender it out with all the specifications that are needed in order for a qualified contractor to bid on it. And then the contractor will be awarded the bid by whichever company you've hired to do this. They'll organize and coordinate when the job's going to be installed, and they take care of the whole kit and caboodle. Like, everything that we don't know how to do, they'll do it for us. They're engineers. I can tell there's concerns or objections.
Is there any value to doing some of the components using local staff and billing it out to PFA?
The prime example is Hakowich's. That's all I can say to you, I'm sorry. That's, to me, that's a lesson learned. That's a hard lesson to learn. And I understand DFA reimburses us, and yes, it's taxpayer money that's paying for it. You and I and everybody else in this province are paying for it. But at the same time, I also see that we're one of the least impacted municipalities from this flood in 2022. And I know that there are other municipalities that are far worse off, and they're doing this process too, because it's just too overwhelming. Now, right or wrong, I don't know, but all I can tell you is that I would sure feel a lot better if it wasn't on my shoulders, because I don't want to be held accountable if our road washes out again. And we didn't fix it properly the first time.
If they're gonna cover it, and they're gonna back it after they do it, and it washes out again, that's off our plate, they did it wrong, not us.
That's right. And don't get me wrong, I don't feel comfortable passing the buck, so to speak, if you want to use that term, but I am not an engineer.
Yeah.
Neither is our foreman. And I don't really think it's fair that we need to be held accountable if we put something together and then find out that maybe a road washed out overnight and somebody drove into it, because that has happened before too.
But this resolution is just to pass the money to pay for the engineering, that's it.
It is to hire the company that you so choose to take control of the situation and get these 2 sites fixed this summer.
And that's not costing us this much, right?
Right. We pay up front,
Yeah.
but we get reimbursed.
It's a win.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but it's a win.
It is a lot of money. I don't,
But they do reimburse.
yes.
Timeline of reimbursement? Project completion?
We have to pay for it, have it completed, and submit the expenses to DFA. So it might not be for 365 days.
I was gonna say, it's a year.
And there's just deadlines that you have to meet internally to get paperwork into them to get the reimbursement?
Right. I was actually quite concerned that a lot of our flood sites hadn't been repaired last year, and come to find out that DFA has an extension period where you couldn't get to it. There's some sites that. This will push things through in a timely manner too, because I don't have the, like I said, the experience or the knowledge to do it step by step in exactly the right process. So it would cause a lot of disruption in my world, just trying to figure exactly which step comes next, to be honest.
I think we should let the engineer do it. Be done with it. The government's gonna cover it, so.
So then, is it just a matter of bidding on, or choosing the price then? Is that?
Choosing which of the 2 engineer companies you want to go with.
And again, is there anything other than price that separates these 2? Like, have we used them before?
So I can tell you Stantec is the company that is hired through the province that has already come out and taken a look at all of our flood sites. We had 40 in 2022. They've examined all of our sites and given us recommendations and advised on how to repair the sites. All of those reports are on my desk right now. These 2 in particular were of greater value, so to speak. They evaluated the, the scope of work on this site. Site number 20, which I believe is Ernie's. They evaluated the cost to restore at approximately $222,000. The other one is where the bridge washed out, and the estimated value to repair that one, I believe, is $201,000. So between these 2 sites, we're talking about like $425,000 for 2 sites alone.
Plus the 50 for the fees?
Nope, that includes the 50, that includes these fees. So in their report, Stantec's specifically states, the use of professional engineering services is required for the crossing replacement to ensure code compliance, proper hydraulic sizing, geotechnical foundation, consideration and investigations, selection of materials, construction methodology, and environmental protection. So it's stated right in there that they recommend that you get an engineer out. Now, of course, Stantec has been there, they've seen the site already, they've taken the photos, they provided the report. But at the end of the day, I contacted a company out of Brandon, they also do engineering. We're familiar with their work, we've worked with them before on different projects. It is an engineering firm and their prices came in lower. So that's a little bit of food for thought, obviously. If Stantec has the knowledge, they're out of Winnipeg, takes them a little bit more to get out here, but that's up to you guys.
What were those dollar figures again?
760 and 48.
Burns Mountain, yeah, 84,725. Right?
No, 48,000.
Oh, 48.
Yeah, for each,
For each.
and then 70 and 60.
70.
70,000 and 60,000.
Because I would like to keep the money as close to local as possible. But I don't know if that's a valid reason to choose one over the other.
They were the higher?
They were Brandon is the lower one, right?
Right.
Yeah, Brandon's lower and more local.
And then the other one is Santec that actually does work for the government. They're employed that way.
Yeah. It's just that it's
$36,000.
bigger, right? So I'm voting for Brandon.
That's 48, was it? The Brandon one?
Yeah, he's 97, right? That is it,
48.
48
70 and
times 2.
60.
48, say 48.
Times 2.
Yeah, 48 times 2 is 97, 40, 450. 2 sites, right?
Yeah.
And the other one's 130,000. Just a bit of a difference.
Or Brandon one.
Okay.
I'm just putting it on reserves. Please.
Yeah.
Burns.
As long as they are, I don't care. Engineering stuff.
Well, it seems you mentioned Hackaway. I have a 1-minute presentation.
Engineering, that's a everything.
Yeah.
That's it.
And their quote number?
Oh, I'm sorry. You could just put February 6th,
February 6th.
2023. That's the date they provided.
So I don't need a quarter acre now.
For the amount of,
Then both hands a quarter acre.
97,000. Sorry, something.
97, 450.
450.
97, 450.
I need the weed inspector.
Okay, resolution, we, the council agree to accept a quote by Burns Mandel for engineer service to repair the flood site number 10 and 20 as described in the quote February the 6th, 2023 for the amount of $97,450. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Second?
Sure.
But no, let Jeff have that one.
Chip. All in favor? Carried.
So because Karen brought up the Hackaway building, so that's the 3 colors where the Stony Creek crosses 85 north, or 85 crosses. So I had mentioned how the one was deforming at the last meeting. So Daryl and Glenn attended the site a couple days ago. Yeah, we met with Ingrid, and And I went out there as a council rep because it's the end of my lane. So just so you know, the conclusion between the three of them was that it was, the one culvert that was deforming is probably a coupler issue, and it's deformed. It looks visually like it's deformed more. The middle one was wowed, now it's wowed and dipped, and the ends are raising. And the easterly one, which was okay, is now dipped and the ends are raising. And the three of them decided that there's no point in doing any kind of measurements or benchmarks or whatnot. It seemed to me that the conclusion was that they need to be taken out and redone. And they figured that, Ingrid figured that they were, I'm paraphrasing her, so if she says something different, I apologize. But paraphrasing Ingrid, she says there's probably a void in on the westerly one, and that once it thaws out, that void will get vacuumed out from the road surface, and she says you're anticipating a fairly large hole in the road surface this spring. And so she wanted us to be prepared with, to block the road.
Be on the ball, because it starts to melt.
Yeah.
So I told them that I'd be walking out once it starts to thaw, because I walk out there all the time.
Right.
So, and Daryl had mentioned that he'd be driving it on a regular basis, but I'm also, I mean, I live there, so
Yeah.
I'll just check on it all the time. But I was thinking I should probably just have a couple of sawhorses or something at the end of my lane. Just so if something happens, I can quickly pop out there and put them on.
Two of Bruce's ever picked up,
There's still two over by, what do you call it, Tim Weeks? Sitting this one there.
So because of our conversation from 20 minutes ago, is that okay
Yeah,
that I do that kind of stuff?
well, it's, yeah, you're right there, and it's your road.
Could happen on Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm just making sure that
Yeah.
everybody's okay with that.
Okay.
Well, we definitely have to get some barricades over to them.
Well,
Yeah, right in.
should have a couple anyway.
Yeah, so that's another 100,000 or so, I think, it costs if they have to be replaced. So let's all hope that it gets washed out in the spring, I guess.
Can't say that on camera, Jess.
Especially. So,
Next day on the watch.
Okay, then we're gonna go into camera, so in accordance with section 132, 3 of the Municipal Act, Council of the Municipality of Rosedale to go into camera to discuss personal matters at the time of beginning. 2/16, 17.
Road commission, you can pay attention to
And
that.
further resolution according to section 83, 1D of the Municipal Act. Any issues that are discussed, kept competition discussed at the regular next meeting. Do I have a mover? Ernie? Second? Ron? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have a resolution that we, the council requests for the Manitoba Water Service Board to undertake a water assessment study on Calwood unit in 2023.
Oh, yeah, I'll move that. Sure.
is that your hint?
Hey, yeah, it was one of those. Yeah. It was my turn, right?
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we have a resolution. We, the council, agreed to purchase a Sound Master SM20 from Pointer Attachments as provided in quote 3147 for the amount of $18,312, taxes included. Do I have a mover?
Nobody wants to move.
It'll be the first one.
Seconder? All in favor? Carried.
with reference to the next item on the agenda, the 2022 flood, I have a quote here from Matt Rempel Backhoe for clay. He's given us a price if council's interested. This would be to repair some of the flood sites, and then we would be reimbursed from DFA because we've got a number of sites that we need to dig out, put clay in, compact, pit run, gravel on top. So this is a start. In the meantime, Ernie had contacted Spring Hill Colony, as was discussed during previous conversation. Unfortunately, Spring Hill Colony doesn't have any clay to sell. So as far as it stands, this is probably the only one until we get some soil samples done at Elk Ranch, whether or not we have clay.
Oh, okay.
So if council's okay with it, I'll let you review the quote. Whether it's high or not is up to you, and whether or not you want to pass a resolution to accept it is up to you as well. And I'm sorry, I just got that yesterday afternoon, so that's why it's not on there. Yeah.
Looking at her.
Want me to read it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I could read it.
Clay loaded is, quantity is 1,500, rate is $4. Delivery clay to various spots in municipality is 1,500, also at $7.50 a yard. Total at the bottom is $18,532.50.
$4.50 a yard for the clay and then $7.50 to deliver, is that what you said?
No, clay, yeah, yes, $4 for the, no, $4 even for the clay loaded. And then $7.50 for the delivery in multiple sites in Rosedale, so that's everywhere.
So $7.50 a yard.
To deliver it.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
And that's DFA funds, the pay.
That's right. I did mention to him as well, we're not exactly sure how much clay we need at this point in time. I will be tallying it up and making sure that we get what we need at each site, but at the end of the day, 1,500 yards was a guesstimate, and he said, give or take, he's willing to honor this quote for whatever amount we need.
So, can we hold off on that until we find out what Elk Ranch,
If you like,
to do some
yeah.
sampling?
This is just something that I wanted to sort of get at least solidified so that if it's go time and it's spring melt and everything, and it's, I know things will be wet for a while, but
And is this clay like to a certain spec, or is it just clay?
as far as I know, it's just clay.
So that's just hauling it there, that's not placing it there.
Right. It'll be up to our guys to be on site to do,
Do the
and
placing.
so it's a binding agent is what we need in order to, and then the compaction, the pit run, the gravel on top to repair our sites. A lot of our sites just have pit run dumped in them because we were doing temporary fixes after the immediate flood. This is going to fix them the way that they need to be fixed as specified as per Stantec. So we'll have Stantec's recommendations at each and every site, yeah.
Attorney's request there, will be stuff like Elk Ranch, we may not have that back in time or either, right?
Right, I don't know what to tell you. In fact, I'd like to go and check my email before you guys close the meeting, because if you're interested in having this company, Burns Meltdown, come out and do it, it would be great if you could pass a resolution today so that they could get on it as soon as they can get in there.
Because we were testing that clay for
Sell, first of all, and then usable clay for projects.
Right, yeah. So for the cell, yeah.
And if there's no clay there, then maybe there's just some aggregate gravel that we could use in the future for
Right.
gravel spreading, crushing, whatever the case may be. At this point in time, we don't have any idea what's up there. And
No,
there's
I
some land
realize
to.
Even rough fill.
So do you want to hold off on this resolution then? You don't have to pass it today.
That's the
It's up to you.
That's the clay one you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Right, this is for rental, yeah.
So, do we have to take a set amount from them, is it, or just whatever we?
Like I said, I estimated 1,000 to 1,500 yards because some spots we need 200 yards and some spots we need 50 yards.
Yeah.
So it just, unfortunately, I don't have a grand total, and I'm sorry, I should have done that first and foremost, but I was kind of crunched for time, and so I thought, well, I'll throw it out there, see if he's even got clay that we could, and he said he did, and so therefore I told him, he asked what it was for. I told him what it was for, and I also suggested that in the future, if we're developing a landfill site and we need clay, we may need a lot more, but depending on, he actually said he would get me a quote for that, but unfortunately I haven't received it yet, so.
When you think about it, the trucking's the trucking, it's only $4 a yard for the clay.
Yeah.
That we're out. Because it doesn't matter where it's coming from, it's gonna be the same on trucking. with $6,000, we're actually passing resolution for it when you think about it. And if we gotta extract it out of the ground, guess what, it's gonna cost us for that too, you know, so.
This is the.
I think it's let's just get it done with and off the table.
Yeah, we complete the projects we got working
Yeah.
on too, temporary fix, we got.
Just my thinking though.
I think I agree with
That would help buy us some time too for the foreman to coordinate the jobs with Matt Reppel and
that. Absolutely.
work on things ahead of time.
Okay, so do the council agree, accept the estimate approved by Rumpel backhoe and gravel for $18,532.50. Do I have a mover?
All of it.
Dave? Seconder? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, thank you. I just have one resolution to close the meeting. If you guys want to do the discussion, open discussion around the table, you can talk about your wards or whatever projects you have or concerns. I will be right back. I'm just going to look for that quote from Burns Mandel to do the soil sampling. And if there's a quote there, then I'll bring it back.
Well, I want to start. This is a bill that we give to Parkview Colony, where it's in our aggregate transport bylaw. And the Parkview Colony has what I would call it a shale pit, not a gravel pit, straight west of Mel Highway. And the way we do it here is there's a permit required, and then you have to pay per yard, per mile for this little formula here. And they put on they admitted, I guess if that's the words to use, they want to haul 1,200 yards of fill to their own colony from their own pit. And so that's 1,200 yards, important number to remember. And our bill to them for the permit is $746.64. They're not selling this gravel, they're not processing this, or it's not even gravel, it's very shale.
It's shale.
So, I mean, I think we're charging them way too much for the circumstance, but I mean, if every trucking company that we have working for us is paying 75 cents a yard to haul gravel on our roads, I mean, the other guys are making money hauling it, and these guys are literally just hauling it to their own yard, for their own fill.
Can I add to that?
You can, sure.
Spring Hill Colony, same thing, got the same bill, hauling right to their yard, not selling one stone of it, got the same bill.
And this, the request for this is,
And they're hauling it 4 miles.
yeah, and they, I mean, the road they haul this down for the most part is slightly maintained, I'll say that, because it's actually a farmer road, but if we're gonna charge that, we'll have to maintain it more. But I don't think that's right. In my personal opinion, that is way too much to charge, like $50 for the permit, say, if that's what we have to do, so we know they're hauling on our roads. But honestly, at $700, 75 cents a yard is what it works out to at their thing, and Darrell was the gentleman I spoke to, said that's probably an overestimate, because he said we haul a few loads, we get a hole in the yard, or part of the bin, or whatever else. So I think we need to do something with, that bill, and maybe you need a difference to when guys are hauling for money and hauling for personal use.
That's what I was saying, like Spring Hill should make a dime, but they compare it to Rolling Acres, which is hauling it in and then rolling it out.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying, and, and then Parkview, the same thing, they're rolling it in and they're rolling it out,
But this is,
it's all in walls.
no, this is not that.
I'm not saying it's that, but I'm just saying that they make it all for us.
Because we don't charge our green haulers either, or our cement wall haulers, but I think that's too much. So I'd like to see us do something about that, I just don't know what.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to say about the Spring Hill one too.
So then you hate to say it, but you'd have to develop a policy about that.
Because it's private use, that's private.
For private use.
It's way too much, honestly, for private use.
Yeah, so what do you do, cut it in half?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think, we charge, I think on there earlier, we were at $50 permit first of all, and then which is all kinds. If they wreck a road, they fix a road, they do dust control on that road for the sake of the neighbors there, which costs them $600 too.
So when I get Baker to bring me gravel, he
Yeah.
pays to bring me gravel for my personal use.
For personal use, yes, and and for the RM work too, I believe.
But they're just, like, as a ratepayer,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there, if I got like the
A load of
10 loads, he's paying for those loads.
Yeah.
Because he's
Hauling down our road.
but the ultimate end of it is for personal. So the Huttery Colony, the ultimate end use of it is personal, and they just aren't paying someone else to haul it, they're hauling it themselves.
Yeah, yeah, basically, that's, yeah.
So if they had to get it from Baker, they'd be paying it indirectly, because Baker would be remitting it.
He'd be getting it back.
Yeah.
So it's the same gravel truck with the same gravel and the same road for the same purpose, but Baker has to pay it, and then but they wouldn't.
Okay.
Is that kind of the,
Well, it's more about, yeah, right, yes, it's not, it's the truth of it, if you go walk up to the bid, it's not, right?
Remember we talked about this,
It's just stuff.
with Spring Hill Colony, hauling gravel?
Right.
Daryl gave me that call and said Spring Hill hauling 300 loads a day or whatever it was again. But it ended up being there hauling like 3 loads a day. And you had to figure out how much to bill them
Right.
because they brought it. And I was
Yeah.
trying to say, well, why are we billing somebody that's not making any money off of it?
Oh, okay,
You
yeah.
know, well, it's the same sort of thing. They're not making any money off of it and they're getting billed for using our road.
It's a part you call it, it's,
They're upset.
that's, well, no, Daryl said if that's what it is, it's what it is, but it's not fair in my opinion, and for his, but they've already paid it, that bill is paid,
Yeah,
so it's not,
paid
it's
is
not
too.
about that, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all paid is too, yeah.
So, but I think it's too much for personal use.
and if I hired the Huttery Colony to deliver gravel to me as a person, they would have to pay it then?
They
I would
have
say
to-
yes, if they're, that's my opinion.
If they're selling it, they should have to pay.
Yeah, and we find, like, Daryl was okay with the permit at some cost, but not, I mean, that turns out to be $75 a yard to haul their own product.
75 cents.
Or 75 cents, sorry, yes, thanks.
So if you- as long as
Is that what it
gravel
works
truck-
out to, like 75 cents a yard?
It all depends on how many yards they're hauling, what time of the year they're hauling, and how many municipal miles of road they're hauling
Oh,
on.
no, I'm just curious how
It all
it works.
factors into the equation.
I'm not
Yeah.
good to calculate, but.
And, no, and that's the thing is, it's a bylaw that we're not the only municipality that
Yeah.
charges it, and it's one of those things where, you know, for the companies that we do get compensation from, at the end of the day, you know, $15,000 to $20,000, depending on the year. I think last year we got $2,700. The year before that,
$37,000
yeah.
work into our roads.
so it does go towards our roads, but I know that a lot of people aren't happy with it because at the end of the day, it comes out of their pocket.
Just the big outfits that know it because they're over in this RM or over in that RM and they pay it. They know it's there. It's the ones that,
Our local,
it hurts.
yeah,
You know, it's like,
no,
oh,
I get
geez,
that.
why, you know?
Yeah, where do you, it's just a little bit concerning when you say, where do you draw the line when somebody says, I'm not selling it, it's for personal use? How do you decipher that, other than their word, which most people aren't, sorry to say, but most people aren't willing to divulge how much they're hauling. It's not until we tell them that we have notification that they've been hauling on our roads, then it's like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
And this, that's part of it, as I said before, is doing dust control on that road, which they don't really do, it's not a- but they do it. I mean, that's what, anyway, I was asked to bring that to council notice, and this gentleman has asked, since I got here 4 years ago, to get off of the mailing list for this, and he's asking again to please
Oh.
remove his name from the mailing list, and he would really appreciate it if you could get that done.
Sure.
Thank you
No
very much.
problem. Anybody that owns a gravel pit or has a hauling company gets one of those letters so that they don't forget.
He hasn't owned a gravel pit for 7 years,
Yeah.
so just FYI for you, so there's no longer
So
gravel
did
pit.
he get one of those letters from the planning district?
I don't know that answer, I could find
He
it.
did, I know he did. So that's one of the reasons is he's known to have owned a gravel pit, and that's why we send out the notifications to
Okay.
anyone that is known to own a gravel pit.
Because he doesn't own one anymore, and it should have been upgraded because it's been reclaimed for at least 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's time to remove his name. Please. That's it, that's all I got, your turn.
Excuse me, Dave and I met with Brian Friesen the other day at the fire hall, because fire guys at Eden like to put on their fireman's breakfast, and they don't have enough plugins in the building. It was enough for code, but it's not enough if you want to put on a function in there. So, got a hold of Sean's Electric, and he came out and he hasn't given us a price. We want 3 split plugs on the bench, one dedicated 30 amp plug, 120 30 amp plug for a compressor, and a split plug.
I'll get to that part.
You'll get it. And in the office area, they want to put a plug in there so they can have some things in there. Now, they want to pay for some of this. I'd like to use some of my VLT money to help them, but I haven't any idea how much it's going to cost. I wanted to have that today, but I didn't get a response, so.
And where we sparked this, no pun intended, was the compressor. And the idea is the compressor there, since the fire that happened just up our road,
Yeah.
there was a ratepayer that came and wanted to make a donation to the fire hall at Eden.
Right.
So he says, what do you think? And I'm thinking, well, great idea. And he says, well, I don't know what they need. So then Dave got the wheel spinning, and I remembered back that the white truck has an onboard compressor to keep the air conditioner, brake system charged, so they can throw the lights on, throw the door open, and book it, right?
Oh.
You're already charged up, you don't have to start up, away you go.
Yeah.
It's a nice little electric compressor behind the seat. Great
Okay.
thing, it's been rebuilt, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, probably 7 or 8 years ago now. But I always thought that might maybe a fire hazard, if you want to call it, or safety issues. And the new truck coming, we don't know what's on it, but it will have airbags, I guarantee it. So then, so I thought to myself, okay, well, how are they going to keep that system charged? So I talked to Brian, I says, well, I'm gonna throw an idea out there for you. I says, so if you guys had a donated compressor and some fittings to go with it, and then you gotta put into your building, then you could air up both trucks, and you also have a compressor for doing other work in the building and doing anything else.
Like if there's a low tire or
Yes,
whatever.
so the idea behind the compressor and some of the fittings and lines would be donated, and the electrical system would be part of with Rosedale. So that's what sparked this conversation, if you want to call it.
Okay.
So I think it's a win-win because, first of all, like I say, the safety side of it for the other fire truck, new one, we have no idea.
Right.
You've got a compressor that can definitely handle both systems.
Yeah.
It has to be a designated 30 amp system. That's what this compressor requires. So,
Kind of something like that.
That's what Spring Hill has on it.
Yeah.
So
There's
it's-
line stuck on it.
yeah, and like I talked to Ronnie, said they would, the fire guys would go ahead and they put the fittings on there, they would look after that. This is what, you know,
Put it right under the
look after.
driver's door.
Hey?
Put it right under the
That's
driver's
already been
door.
talked about, yes. That was very well said at that.
Spring
meeting,
Hill
so-
didn't the first.
Yeah.
Road over.
Yeah, so that's, was the discussion behind it all. Now, going back to the fire hall, one of the things that we gotta look at going forward, and forward, yes, is the water line is now there. Of course, we have issues with the water, but eventually they want to see, fills put into the fire trucks. So going forward, Brian and I were going to go to the fire hall and want to see what they have for drop downs or auto fills to the trucks.
Okay.
And then wherever the line comes in, we'd have to put some hoses in, shut off valves, whatever, so they can top load their trucks and away you go. So that's something that we're working towards. No figures, no
No.
estimation on any of that, so.
That was actually on my list for the budget as well, for the capital plan, because once that is all plumbed in by Rob Smith and Son, we still need parts and materials inside the building to fill
Yeah.
the trucks. Unfortunately, I have no idea what it's gonna be like,
Well, that's why,
I was hoping under 5,000,
oh,
just
I think all day long.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
operating
It
budget
should be under
should be
5,000,
good, I
yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of going to this fire hall, since it's new, and see what they have for truck filling
Yeah.
stations, and then come up with a game plan.
Yeah.
We'll draw it out, and a couple shut off valves, some lines, some hangers, like, it's not gonna cost a boatload of money.
No.
And I know the guys, the volunteer fire department is willing to do some of that work and stuff, and they're
Yeah.
okay with that, I guess.
Oh,
And I don't know how that lines up with the ducks and everything, but it's an option. It's information put forward, I guess, put it that way, so.
Well,
Perfect.
and Brian come to our fire hall the other night, and had a little discussion, and he wanted to see our fill-up, so it's pretty simple.
Okay.
So but he just needs to, just opt for the T, and then
That's right.
Yeah.
two, so it's just.
Yeah, just
so
thought the line along the bottom, go up with a
Yeah.
2 lines and shut off valves and done, so a 1-person job can fill the trucks. And quick and easy, yeah, so, just thoughts, that's all it is, guys.
No, in an emergency, you want that, right?
You need it, you need it in the hall and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, no, I'm all for that, for sure.
How did you get it, Robert? Good?
Good. I think it'll all contribute.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Ernie?
Don't really have much going on. I told Daryl that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were in Robert. Yeah,
Now I'm gonna talk about Ward 5.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, Dave, I apologize. No problem, no problem. Anyways, projects going forward, hopefully for summer of 2023. There's 4 small projects, 2 on Road 99. One is where the Bernie Church is, just to the east. There's a little dip in the road. The culvert is right on the edge of the road, so we need to extend the culverts on both sides. Riprap, clay, and gravel, basically. And I'm thinking 4 to 6 feet either side type of thing, and it drops off dramatically. That's one request from a ratepayer.
Yeah.
The other request was something that was done during campaign season, is west of Mr. Summer's yard. There's that hill. Now the hill goes up fairly steep, it got a little bump in the road and it keeps on going.
Yeah.
And then there's a big drop off. And it's very narrow road. So the suggestion was to put up, and this is the ratepayer's suggestion, was to put up a guardrail. Personally not a fan of that because it's a snow fence and also costly. So thinking ahead, and I'd like somebody else's opinion, this is to take a cat and cut that hill a bit, move dirt back and widen the road to the west. And move it a little bit to the south, 6 or 8 feet, so it's basically cat work, and you need coarse gravel to finish it off. Not a huge project,
Okay.
but it's gonna take shutting down the road, and I would suggest done between July and September, school bus route. That's, okay, that's the reason being. People from the west, they can go around by Big Valley. There's an alternate route to get out, so you're not, it's not, it's a little inconvenience, but not a big inconvenience, so. That's number 2 project. Number 3, Road 89, close to Road 102. Last year it's a summer road. It's a small little dip area, and it keeps on getting pounded out. So last year what they did is they put in some rock to take some of that water away. It's got to be like you might as well put marbles on the floor and try and walk on it, to be honest. And I know it's used primarily for agriculture use during the summertime, and that's all it is. But it's actually not, it's used quite extensively, put it that way. So the thought was on that, is the rock's already there, we take where the dip is, cut it down deeper, put all the rock in there, instead of getting a culvert, just use the rock, put your geo on top, and haul shale and just level it off, and then you've got it built up. Like, it's not a huge project. And the shale pit is like 2 miles away, so it's a matter of getting, most of that stuff can be done by our guys, the rock could be scraped back in, the geo put there, and then of course the shale has to be filled in. Don't know how many yards it's gonna take. Like, it may take 300 to 500 yards, I don't know, but it's a quick haul. And of course, it'd have to be with a tandem, basically, because it's that type of road in there, you get in with the shale. The shale is in the RM jurisdiction, if you wanna call it.
Okay.
And on RM property, so it's accessible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Last one, I'd have to go check it, but it's on the Boundary Road 84, just north of 352. Same thing, there's a dip in the road, and the water just sits there in pools. So it's basically, just the thoughts only, is to take some pit run or probably just an A-base and level it off and then put good gravel on top and just build it up, a couple feet maybe at the most. And I'd have to, physically I haven't had a look at it, see what it needs, but that's just some thoughts.
Yeah.
So hopefully I didn't talk too quickly because I like to do that.
Yeah, no.
So that's just, just some thoughts, guys, so.
Yeah.
Well, man, we're on the wish list thing.
I don't know, wish.
I want one road built up too, they don't have to haul nothing, but I just want a grader for about 2 days. He can move all the stuff that's on the side up to the middle and make a road out of it. Instead of grading it off to the sides and
Which
make
road's
it.
that? Or all?
Oh, over there by Watson's there.
Oh,
Goes over to Chicopse's.
yeah.
Everything's on the side, it's all 4 foot, 5 foot tall, the road's down there. I wanna move that over here so the water stays over there.
Yeah.
That's all I wanna do there, because I know Cody's gonna build a house there. And I'd like to be ahead of that game before he says, hey, I built a house over there, can you guys help me over the road, you know, maybe to my house? So, just a wish then.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything seems all right.
Ronnie? Oh. Yeah.
He's got some chopping.
Jeff?
So just, I'm still recovering from my concussion, and my hand is starting to swim. So have I told you yet about the last Westlake Employment Center meeting?
No.
Okay, because I didn't think I had, I just wanted to make sure. So it was an impressively run meeting. It was like $110,000 budget or something like that. And but what I noticed on their meeting was they had this, the fellow running sitting in the chair was doing it by strategic priorities. And they had 5 strategic priorities as a group. And they went through and they did kind of, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'll tell you that, I'll just type it up.
Sure. Okay. All right, thanks guys. Put these glasses back on.
Glasses.
All right, we have a resolution. We do now adjourn the meeting at, is it 3:45?
Close.
Yep.
Yep, right on the button.
To meet again on the regular meeting of Friday, April 14th at 10 a.m. Do I have a mover?
Sure, I'll move it.
Ernie, second it?
I'll take that.
All in favor?